wife in the bathroom?
What? Wait,
What did you
don't
just say?
phrase it like that.
Hold on. Did you say you were talking to my
No,
wife
no,
in the
no, no,
bathroom, or
no.
what happened?
No, my aunt was talking to your wife in the bathroom at the benefit.
The one lady said, she said, "Oh, Gavin, you're such a handsome young man." And you went, "What did you say?"
I was like, no one's ever said that to me before.
Were you serious?
No, I was
Oh.
just messing with her.
Well, my wife was distraught on the way home. Like, no one's ever said that to him.
Well, family members.
There's a girl out there. Welcome to the Brackett Show, Full Metal Brackett. We need to find Gavin, a beautiful woman that thinks that he hung the moon. That is this week's show. So here we are on a Friday night, hanging out. We got Ashton, we got Drake over here, and we have Gavin, the question master. Gavin is full of a million questions every time we hang out, which is maybe one of my favorite things, to be able to take young men and have them ask legit questions that they want to know. So I'm pretty pumped. I've had an unbelievable week in real estate, and we've had great weather. We had the Legacy Acre Boys in. Drake has given his life to the Lord, which is incredible. We're going to have to throw a party because we welcome. I've missed him not living in my basement because he's at the Hunter Boys house, but now I get to be with him forever. And it really means the world to me. Just so proud a year of your life. Just getting in my truck, coming here, not knowing anything about this life, about real estate, about the land. You were a killer. You knew that you liked animals. You knew you liked land. You're a great fisherman. You're a great kid. And now I believe that you've become a man, not only in, I know your parents are proud of you. I know that you've made some great friends in Carter and some of the people around here, and you work hard and whatever. You just come so far, man. And you need to know that. And that's a big deal. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know Drake, and when you told us that earlier, I was jumping for joy on the inside. Like I'm really happy to hear that. That's awesome.
That's all we've been praying.
Yeah.
Because he's, Bible study and everything, whatever, but he's just seen God work in his life. And I truly believe that we are on a path right here at, I don't have a name for my farm, but trying to buy the acreage behind the farm rather than have it spread out truly feels like this is the place that God is in this ministry that I feel has been my path my whole life, but it feels like there's a calmness and a peace, and there's a really good, there's just a really good direction here, I think, with the pond. Mm-hmm. And like, my life has changed since I moved here, and there's somebody buying the other farm, out in Pekin, and I have the other cool farms, but I even feel like walking out the other day, having my coffee in my hand, going to hunt turkeys that I didn't even need to kill a turkey. I just needed to go get in on them and walk and see them and fly down. And you're like, I don't have that bloodthirst because the experience is there. And I feel even taking my brother-in-law's dad mushroom hunting on one of my buddy's farms today, there's just a lot giving back right now. And I feel really blessed in that. So even meeting you two, yahoos, knuckleheads, drive down here, and we plan on Friday nights. We're planning on probably doing this for a while. It's a good thing for us to do on Friday nights. We got plans to have more people here in the room asking questions. Everybody loved the Brackett Show when you could call in and ask questions, and we'll get back to that format. But like we talked about, this is just going to be really a very kind of fun, organic experience. And so we right now went live on our Facebook, the Whitetail Equity Facebook page and the Instagram page. And we went live, and we have 1 million comments and questions. And then I have a few things that I picked up this week that really kind of irk me about Facebook. And I'll listen to a killer podcast from Sean Ryan. I don't always like his podcast, but this one in particular was about cancel culture with John Christ, which is started out as a Christian comedian and making fun of how wild some of the churches are, dude. The big churches, the little things that you see in little churches. But I was following him, and me and my wife would follow him, and he's, a non-cussing comedian. I think are the best comedians. You got Nate Bargatze, right? And then you got John Christ, and like those are things you can listen to, and you don't feel like you're, you don't feel like you're your mind's switching to sinful things and making fun of people, whatever. But he's making fun of like how funny the church is like, the church across town, they're rivals. And they're like, they're not rivals. Don't use that word, And it's like the secret meetings. His old man was a pastor, and it was like, Mennonite, and then he went to Pentecostal. But he tells this story about a cancel culture, the same thing I went through within the same years, talking to Sean Ryan that kind of came back from CIA, SEALs, and all of this military. And it's like John was giving Sean this breakdown, like you can make fun of the CIA or the military or whatever because you're one of them. He's like, I'm a pastor's kid in a church, follower of Christ. And so I can kind of give crap because I am one of them. Right. And they were like using that. And it's the same way with the hunting industry. It's the same way as I get wild on, the quality of work or the things. I'm still a super fan. I am one of those. And I was one of the guys that fought for what the slow-mos and all the cool stuff on outdoor TV and content, YouTube. I fought for that. So I kind of can give crap back. And it was wild to hear the redemption story that I resonated with. It was a 5-hour-long podcast. I've never sat and listened to a 5-hour-long podcast. And again, that's Sean Ryan and John Christ, Christ, on YouTube, and I watched the whole thing. The level of thinking and comprehension that a comedian, first off, has to be able to do. He's really intelligent. They also deal with depression, but there's this funny balance. Like he talks about going up and getting on the mic and doing a comedic, entertainment thing for 2 minutes. And he was talking like it's such a rush. And I'm thinking, could I get on an open mic right now for 2 minutes? For sure. I don't know what I would say, but it would be something relative to whatever my week was, or being married, or a thought process of being like, listen, I'm autistic and I don't look like it, but guess what? And here are the things, and how many are you? And I would probably go down that road and make commonalities funny. I enjoyed this podcast more than anything I've ever listened to in my life. And I think everybody needs to hear it. So you guys got to put that on your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work thing. But so we got Gavin, and he's going to ask questions. I don't even know how to start it out tonight, but that's just been kind of my week. What does your week look like?
Not much. Just
you do
electrical. Yep. So, I got like 14 calls last week, like in the last 7 days. So it's trying to keep up with all that and like make sure I'm getting to everything on time, and you know, so keeping that flowing. And then usually summer's my busy season outside of like a pretty big spike during like harvest season. So there's always something going wrong with grain bins or something like that.
Yeah.
But
you mean like dryers and
Yep. But right now it's a lot of residential stuff, and there's like houses going up for sale and all that stuff.
So while you're doing that, what is the little kid Gavin, the hunter Gavin, what's going on in his mind? Is it all about these antlers and all about these guys and podcasts? Like what's behind the scenes? What makes you and why, like, sit there, talk with me? How do we get here? What's behind the scenes? Like, you just love to hunt?
So yeah, I don't know. I think hunting's with deer mainly. Deer's what I grew up on, right? Like dad and grandpa were pretty big deer hunters. They're mainly gun hunters, but you
live in a small town in central northern Illinois. Deer hunting is a culture. You're how old?
23.
23. Yeah. That's the best age.
Yeah.
And you've been deer hunting your whole life, but you're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going with. Like, you're completely a mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? He's completely a mess. So that's our commonality. Yeah. What's your dream? I mean, you're doing a podcast right here. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people, whether there's 5 or thousands or 100,000 people listen. What's cool? What's cool about it? I love getting your generation take. Yeah, just about me and the crew.
Well, this, I could get into all this in a second. I'll just keep it brief on the deer. When I compare it to like when I was a little kid and I was addicted to like Pokemon and all these games where you're like collecting monsters. And then as soon as I started to be able to kind of differentiate one buck from another and see, they really are all different. They're like a snowflake or a thumbprint where every single one is different.
It's a good outlook.
And when I started seeing that, like that's what kind of got me obsessed with it. So then I wanted to get the pictures of him and see which deer are out there. And then eventually it turned into like.
Do you remember a time deer hunting when there was no pictures?
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
do?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I remember like
because at 23, you're looking at probably 10 years of. You're looking at 10 years of cell cams, and you're probably looking at another 10 years before that. You were right on the cusp of not having cameras.
Yep.
Or they only had a few maybe because they were still expensive. They're still $200 a pop 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. So
you still remember a time where grandpa and dad didn't put out cameras.
Yeah. They didn't worry about it. I think they would throw out one in like September and leave it all year and then check it afterwards. It's kind of one of those things.
Not strategy. Not like itinerary stuff all the way through.
And then what drove me to like the podcast and you was I loved your outlook on like you're a very inspirational guy, you know.
I try to be.
Yeah, like
I mean, humbly, I try to be, but I mean, I try to be. I mean, that's it. I don't have any kids, so I want to leave something.
Yeah, so I'd always wanted to do like something in the hunting industry, but I didn't really know what it'd be. I didn't really care enough. I also didn't feel like I had like the repertoire to like post hunting videos of myself, you know. I got a handful on the wall.
Well, there's a lot of people that could give a crap about that have any thing to offer the world, and they just want to see themselves out there on YouTube and out doing it. So I mean, why is that different from? Is that a humble thing? Like I just don't think I can host something, or because I love to ask these questions because I know why I did it. No one's ever asked me why I did it, but I bought a $3,200 camera because every morning on like CMT and ESPN, and back then we didn't have Outdoor Channel. I would go to my dad's on the weekends. My mom and dad are divorced, and he had, I think, ESPN in the morning, and like there was something else, but I wanted to capture adventures through a lens, and I wanted to be the guy in the adventure, but I did not have something in me that did it for an arrogancy at all. But it was more like, come with me on an adventure. And when I started kind of filming, I remember I got high 8 videotapes of me recovering my first deer because my dad grabbed it and brought it along, and I'm in the snow and we're trailing the blood, but there was something about like watching that again, not for anyone else, but like I knew my mom would never go out there. I knew my sister would never go out there. I knew my Auntie Margie wouldn't go out there. I knew Aunt Sis wouldn't go out. I knew that these people would never go see my colors of what I'm experiencing. I wanted to capture it. I wanted to bring it back. And so when I first started, like no one was doing that. You couldn't even afford a high 8 video camera, especially a 3-chip GL1 camera like I ended up buying for like $3,800. And so, you went like, oh, I think I can do that one day. Even if I film somebody else, I just want to be on these adventures. Phones, cameras, when you grew up, they were all over. But y'all made a choice. Like, do you guys make a choice in your 20s? You guys are all in your 20s. Did you just made a choice? Like, I don't think people want to watch me.
I don't know what it was. I think because it started out so rough at the beginning. So like when I was first going out there,
when I was
videotaping it, I had no idea what I was doing.
We were videotaping your hunts or just going to the woods?
So it was mainly like I wanted to videotape the deer that I was seeing that I couldn't shoot.
Oh, okay.
Because when I got into it, all I wanted was like a shoulder mount.
And you had a video camera in your pocket?
The first year was a phone, and it was just putting it up to the binoculars. Yeah. And then the next year was like one of Mom's old like photography cameras.
We did the same thing. Yeah. We would go actually, there were these big alfalfa fields by Silco out in Canton that nobody could hunt. You could drive back in there, and we would just film some of the biggest deer on the planet. And back then that was a big refuge or park. We would go to parks and we'd film these big deer eating beans and alfalfa. And we did the same thing. And it wasn't anything but just to come back and watch it and see them and, all of that. And that wasn't an adventure. It was just like, you guys will never believe the buck we got on film. Somehow that's morphed though to 20-year-olds. Hey, look what I can do. Look what I can do. Everybody give me accolades. Look what I can do. Now that's coming from a guy with spiky hair, tattoos, running around shooting arrows and everything. But what, that's probably another story, probably another rabbit hole. But I look and I wonder what takes what did it take to take a camera in and go, I want to film this hunt, I want to make this or put it together, and I want people to see it, or I want to do it for me and Dad and Ashton. What is that?
I guess the reason I never
now you're speaking for a whole generation. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
you're speaking for you.
Yeah.
I would ask the guys the same thing.
I think I never wanted to make it about me, but more for the deer, if that made sense. I thought the deer were so cool,
they're still so cool.
The footage I get of these things and how like cinematic some of it is, being able to watch that back or watch me shoot that deer again. Like that's the stuff, like watching, the 20 minutes of this buck working his way towards me and just hitting rubs and scrapes and then following these does around, chasing off other, like that's the stuff
that I was worry about getting that stuff and not the shot. Like that's why I always said I'd never film myself hunting. Now the deer's going to die. I might as well try to shoot it live on Facebook or something, because I like taking people with me on it. And that becomes a challenge to me. Shooting the deer, that's not the challenge anymore. One day it'll probably be a challenge again as I get older, but you getting the deer close and filming them sometimes is more fun to me to let them pass and, get all these guys on this table are pretty much from this year, except for like 2, but they're going to be megatrons next year, and then watching them grow, which is what you're saying. But you used to take that out there with your phone, or you would just you were trying to film hunts.
Yeah, it was more so for like me and like Dad and Grandpa were like the 2 that I would show it the most. Yeah, I'd be like, look at this deer I seen.
Yeah, and there's none of arrogance there when it's your family. Yeah. You get a free pass.
It was almost like bringing them into the hunt that I was out there alone with, because when I was younger, I was always hunting with Dad or Grandpa in a blind or something, or in a tree stand.
I didn't have that. I mean, that's a blessing. And Ashton doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Right. He's got you to take him. Yeah. First generation hunter. And we'll drill him with these questions here soon in the next pod or whatever. And, but that went into, you were attracted to all this and then listening to my pod or watching some of the stuff that I did, and then he's the one that said, hey dude, he's still looking for people to help, and never thought that he would also. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm serious. I need some help. I know what I'm doing. I'm just not doing it all. I don't want to be the guy doing it all. Again, I want to have a couple. You guys are fired. You guys are 20 or something years old. You guys are all fired up about life. I'm exhausted from this week. I would not have been exhausted at 20. Now I still outwork most people there's just a different game at 48 and 20. So, I mean, what's that look like? When I was originally asking the question about podcast and stuff, what's the attraction? Where would you like to see it? What do you want to see on content?
That's a good question.
Podcasts, other content, first generation hunter, family hunter wanting to talk about going to Kentucky hunting. What is that? What's the attraction to you said I was inspirational. I have the stories. We have think tanks where you're like, dude, I thought all week about what you said about life and man stuff and hunting and deer and whatever. So I'll shut up. You give me like 3 to 5 minutes here of all of that.
So I think what I'd like to see more is that kind of what you're talking about? I like when podcasts break away from just deer. I feel like deer hunting is such a tight knit community in a way that I like when we could talk about real life things. You know what I mean? Sometimes it gets a little one note when it's just the deer 24/7.
Most guys are one trick ponies though. I say that about Don Higgins. Like, he has an isolated herd in the middle of Illinois on a farm that he manages. And that's real. He can go and he's hunted bigger deer in other places, but very much is centralizing to 4 or 5 kind of one trick pony things. And I feel the guys out in PA or the public land guys or this or that, very much one trick ponies. So many people are so offended about what I just said right now. Sorry, not sorry. Most of them, they deer hunt, but they don't turkey hunt. They deer hunt or they turkey hunt, but they don't mushroom hunt, but they don't bowfish, but they don't waterfowl hunt, but they don't dove hunt, but they don't plant sunflowers for doves. I and your dad and everyone we know right here in Illinois grew up doing it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yep.
Woodsman stuff, woodsman and life stuff, right? And that's my challenge to the world. So you're saying that it's not always about deer, it's about other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then elaborate.
Well, I don't know. Like growing up, it was here's the hunting season for whatever. There's
October through December,
yeah,
pretty much.
and I guess like it was a fascination of wildlife more than it was just deer when I started. And I feel like there's not as much of that around. Like I didn't draw turkey tags. I'm still so fascinated by turkeys. I love watching them out at the farm. I like them strutting
How many have
around.
you watched die?
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you think it gets to where you're like, that's enough? I
Yeah.
know I've seen 300 die.
Not enough.
I mean, so it's just like, I love them, but a 2-year-old is the same as a 7-bearded 40-pounder to me. It's like, if it gobbles like that and it comes in like that, like, you die.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year I shot a Super Jake and he filmed me and he came in like a big dog and beat the crap out of my decoy and I cut his head off with the beast decap, and it was awesome. But it's the turkey. Yeah. It's 20-pounder, 20 to 26 pounds, 1/4-inch spurs to 1.5-inch spurs. I've killed them all. I've killed double beards and triple beards, and I don't know if I've killed a 4-bearder, but killed the Grand Slam in one spring with a bow with no blind, like before anyone was doing this stuff. And but turkeys are turkeys. Yeah. But the cool part is when it gets turkey season, it's all about turkeys. Yeah. When it gets mushroom season, it's all about mushrooms. It's about my fish all year round, and it's about deer all year round for me. I would love the world to experience more woodsmanship, rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, all the different ways. I mean, I can't get Jared Brescia from Hunter Pod to even gun hunt. He's only killed like 1 deer with a gun. It was at the Illinois farm. And it was like, well, that was easy. And it's like, well, like, I don't know. There's a romance to me about every season and every weapon, and there's more into it. Is that some of kind of what you're going after or talking about? Or
yeah.
Because that's, to me, the lifestyle that carries on more than whitetails. Yeah. That's a lifestyle of woodsmanship that I'd love. Like, I like taking, like Drake knows a lot, but even today, how many mushrooms had you ever found? You said like 20 in your life? Not even 20. Yeah. And today he had a whole whole thing. He already is a better mushroom hunter now than his first 20 something years on this earth after today. And by the end of the week, he'll probably be really good. Yeah. And it'll be good forever. He'll know what trees to look for. He'll know what that elm look for and kind of what the stickers look for and kind of how the heat gets trapped in and what time of year. And he's already further, and I think a lot of it is listening to the pod, being attracted to something, inspirationally going like, you know what, we should do a little more research on elm, what an elm is, which goes back to things I have written on my phone from a bunch of buttholes all week saying things like, all the elms already died. They died 20 years ago. And you're like, no, not all of them, not the red elm or American elm, or not all of them. Right. But people on the internet are nuts. But I kind of cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. And then I kind of wanted to bounce back. I know you said what I'd like to see in just like hunting videos in general. I don't watch a lot of them anymore. I feel like there's not a lot of surprise to them anymore. I like the storytelling aspect and the story of these deer. I like, I don't like it when it's all about the hunter that just, shot the deer. I think what it is for me is when you see a thumbnail and it's 200-inch buck killed and then it explains everything that happened. To me, there's no reason to check it out because I already knew everything that happened. There's no wondering, does he get away? Does he do? Some of my favorite videos are the ones where I don't know what's going to happen. And I watch it all the way through to the end.
My favorite stuff is still Jury's 13. But that goes back to like, they're still filming with regular cameras, no DSLR stuff. And I was talking to David and Tyler and Wes about that the other day, was like, yo guys, you could shoot this a lot faster and a lot more realistic and a lot more romantic if you're just filming it real. And you can lower your quality, still 4K, mic'd up and ready to rock, 2 camera angles, somebody tight, somebody wide, and roll through all this, be breaking down a farm last week or this week. I was just talking to him about like the romance of non-DSLR stuff or mirrorless cameras or this or that or whatever. But the big deal is like, I think Drury's doing 13, even though I feel like they really sold out with Muddy and whatnot, but I would have taken 20 million bucks too. I should, if I go back and look at my careers, I should have taken Schwacker money instead of running Rage for, 20 grand when they would beat me down from 70 grand to 20 grand. And Jeff Hoffer, what's his first name? Jake Hoffer was asking me, he goes, man, we should do a podcast, but like break something down for me. He was like asking me how you guys made money at the Superstars and the Outdoor Channel. What did that money look like? And I broke it down. He's like, man, I think that would be a lot more money. And I'm like, not if you were doing it for the art. We broke down like $600,000 budget and airtime and guys. But there was times where I had Rage for 40 grand or 20 grand, but they would flip flop between 20 and 70 because I liked the broadhead, where for the fans, I stayed loyal and could have made a lot more money. I never was in it for the money. And that's how some of this stuff has kind of changed, is the shows have gotten all fancier and doing what you're saying is like all this descriptive stuff, but it's all explained and scripted. There's not enough creativeness to it.
Yep.
It's all these camera angles and this fancy and 200 inches, where I've had 120s do exactly what they're, 120 incher comes in and does what you can't even imagine he does. Yeah. And it's crystal clear and it's perfect. And to me, that's the jam.
Yeah.
And it's live and it ties in the hunter and it goes over here and you're showing what you're using. Like, that was my way of shooting it. And then how can you make that special?
Yeah.
Not, let me get these fancy, smoky, Heartland bow hunter type shots where they have 3 or 4 DSLRs in the tree and clip between all of them. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. We were one of the first shows of all time to run a 7D DSLR camera, but shoot it live because of a guy named Darren when I was with Zach Brown, and we were shooting this new wild style, but we were doing it the way we had always shot, like a camcorder style, tie-ins and everything. It's why Shockey, his stuff wasn't super awesome and super fancy, doing hunting chronicles with Jim Shockey or whatever, his stuff was over the shoulder, running XLR 7s and XLR Canons back in the day, just over the shoulder down, standard def in a 3-chip camera. And that was the tie-in romantic thing that the filming was about. And I think if people shot more like that, well, look at hunting public guys. I don't think they're running DSLR stuff. They're running camcordery stuff, and their production is very long, but where they miss the boat, I believe, as a producer, they're doing fine. They're hitting all their agendas. They're making money. They're having fun. But they'll never be Spielberg movies. Where I think they're missing their mark is there's not a freshness to it. Like, it's an inside joke. And a lot of the guys in down south, like small town hunting guys and the guys that spun off from Primos and all these guys I've always watched, the truth series and things like that, like there's an inside joke there that they're always laughing to themselves. And so you're just sitting there kind of watching into a fishbowl. And I'm like, you could do a better job of bringing me into it. But it's like Good Old Boy Club, but you're watching the Good Old Boy Club. I don't like that style either. I'll still watch it as long as these big deer right here are doing what big deer do and they're capturing it and they're letting it. Well, I think what you're saying is you're letting the deer do deer stuff, which is what I love. And you're watching the eye, sparkle, or you're watching and getting to watch him snort, wheeze, and his body language, he's puffed up, and that to me is the jam. I think that's what you're saying is, are they putting the effort? Are they not putting the effort? Are they overproduced? Like some of Donnie Vincent's stuff is awesome, and he's asking like, being one with the mountain and going back to Alaska awakens the beast of the animal presence of all of us, that we are the wolf of the world, of you and me and mortality. And I'm like, okay, Donnie. And I've known Donnie my whole life. Me and my wife have known Donnie, but he's hilarious. He looks like Yosemite Sam with his new mustache, and he's like hunting with a flintlock. And I'm just waiting for him to be like, I got rid of the flintlock, and I've now got this rock I found, and I'm now going to hunt these river bottoms over it wherever he's hunting in Illinois. He's like, I'm going to sit in this tree and I'm going to kill a deer with this rock. And you're like, okay, Donnie, like everyone's on their own journey, and I will watch it. I still watch Donnie's stuff because I love the cinematography of it. But dude, people are reaching out there to me. I love, and I think, what we're really talking about is give it to me straight, keep it simple, stupid. The romance is in what happens. The romance is in the truth. The romance is in capturing the deer, doing the deer thing. And guess what? Everything that you think you captured, like we've done it different or first time ever seeing it. Okay, but America's Funniest Home Videos isn't on the air because they came up with something new. It's still a kid hitting a dad in the nuts with a wiffle ball bat, no matter what they film it in. No matter if it's 120 frames per second or was it 30 frames per second shot back in the day with Waddell and Steve Finch, and he's running around with a Panasonic shooting in 24p, making it look like a movie. It can be any of those. The kid's still hitting the dad in the nuts with the wiffle ball bat, and they're still one of the top shows on the planet. So don't be dumb with all this fancy crap that you're doing. I just told Jason Young that the other day. He said, I want to buy a camera. I said, dude, you can buy $850. You can buy that AX33 Sony that we decapped that deer, or decapped that would be fun, decapping a deer with a beast. But we decapped that turkey with a beast last year, and that was Drake's first day in Illinois with me, was filming me, and it's got auto, it's got auto stabilization. It's like an AX30, an FD AX33 for like $850. It's like 6 years old. It films on a card. You could shoot 3 of them wide and handheld and on your bow and everything. And you could crush it putting it together in 4K. It's awesome. It's awesome in low light. It's handheld. It's just as good as anything else. I mean, it's 10 times better than me saving up $3,800 on a credit card. Bought it on a credit card. Took me like 30 years to pay it off. When I was 22, working at the post office as a mailman, actually as a janitor at that time, I bought a $3,200 camera, a GL1 3-chip camera, and that's how I started my career. Living out of a 98 Dodge Ram truck. My wife got a divorce, was cheating on me, got a divorce, lived in my dad's basement, didn't care if I lived or died. That's kind of goes even further back to the John Chris thing, where you just living out of your truck, you got a dream and you got a camera and you're just trying to make something happen. Even back then, you create this romance, not to be famous, but to capture these, which may be your last adventures. You don't care if you live or die, and you're out there capturing these adventures and then bringing them back and having all these tapes and editing them up and starting Brackett Outdoors local on Fox and then graduating, get bigger and bigger. It's the content you put out. This show could blow up. People could listen to it all over, or it could go to 10 people. But what if those 10 people are a Gavin or an Ashton or a Drake, and it changes the way they look at life? That's why I know that us getting together, feeding you guys, giving you some gas money, whatever, and doing this and then just getting better at it is where my life is right now. Very blessed to be selling real estate like a wild man and finally getting the recognition that I'm good at it, hire me to do it, and me get paid for it, and them get what they want and me get to do what I want. But this right here, this is fun because it's just talking. It's talking about real stuff. You guys look very serious though to me, all of you. Are you just tired? Are you guys tired from chicken?
Oh, I'm like absorbing everything you just said. Yeah. So it's more about what you film than what you film it with.
Yeah. Well, 1,000 first rule, like here are my little secret rules, is like the first thing when I started filming back in the day was the rule was capture it Content is king with the best that suits what you're good at. Like I watch people get lost in an f-stop and a shutter speed and the 5600 on the white balance and what frame rate. I still watch professional videographers and outdoor channels, sportsman's channel and YouTube. I watch them film in 30 frames per second or 60i or 24p. Familiar with anything I'm talking about? Nope. Okay, so here we go. So when you're filming and you're bringing it in, like I'm not even going to get into what codec you're filming on, but if you go down to 60p, it's 60 frames per second. Not that long ago, they didn't make 60p. They made 30p, which when you see lights and they almost you almost capture them, they're almost flickering. Okay. 30p is 30 real frames every second. 24p is, do you guys remember when Waddell did road trips? Well, the man, one of the myths, the legends is, I just said his name, Steve. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I forgot it. It was Waddell and Steve Finch. Steve Finch was the man. He had a Panasonic. It shot in 24p, but I even think it's shot in 25p, and it was this flickering movie mode. And he taught me this grip on these cameras, these camcorders, that the eyepiece would flip up, and you would kind of you could run the zoom on that, and you had the focus out here. A lot of times you could just shoot, whatever you're at, but you were shooting this movie mode and capturing these things, but you never did it on arrows. Like the gangster guys that knew what we wanted to see as consumers and as filmers is like, you can shoot all the B-roll you want to get to the place of the animal kill and the arrow fly and the bullet fly, and you can shoot it in 24 or 30, and it gave this really cool look. I mean, so cool that they didn't allow it on regular television, like soap operas or movies or whatever. And the reason they didn't do that is that they didn't do that because it didn't go with all the other Discovery type style shooting. So they wouldn't let any of like Deadliest Catch or Dirty Jobs or all these guys shooting. They always had to shoot in a 60i interlaced, which was 30 frames per second, 30, but they had an interlaced in the middle. So when you shot an arrow, it was shot in there were 30 seconds, if this makes sense. And then there was like a half blended in the middle, which was an interlaced. So it was 30 frames per second, but they did it where there was a half frame in there. And that's what we shot with all of the old cameras, even the HD stuff. But that's when you could see that arrow travel, but you really didn't see the rotation until we got to 60 full frames per second at 120 frame rate. And then you had your ISO, and then you had the fast lenses, which let more light in. And if you shot it at depth of field and like all of this stuff, no one ever even asked me about it. No one cares. All these kids just grab mirrorless DSLRs. They film all this stuff. They throw these mics on, and they'll never get it. They'll never understand the romance. And they got an old man right here, and they got Steve Finch's of the world, and the Mark Bears of the world, and you got you got all these amazing producers. We have forgot it all because none of the kids want to learn it. They don't want to learn it. But they're the movies. They're the way the movies were even, and they don't care. They just don't care. They don't even care that I'm alive or dead or any of these stories. I've never had one of these up and comers ever call me and go, love to learn, dude. Trade you out some labor. And you're just like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't they? We're filming on one camera here, double, whatever. We got cameras laying all over. I got 40 grand worth of cameras in the other room and computers, all this stuff. Is like, no one ever is going to pay attention again. It's like photographers don't care about photography anymore. They're all selling their stuff because you can AI it or you can, Photoshop anything or whatever. And it's just like those romances are dead. So Donnie Vincent, which this is just fun. It was funny what I was saying earlier, but he's taking it fully to the other side, like completely Yosemite Sam, wool, non-camo things, a bow he made out of a stick on his way to the place. And like this, he's gone completely over here. But then when he goes to Alaska, he's got this gun that looks like it's, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just like, it's something out of space age stuff, you know? And it's like, it's just these funny idiosyncrasies, eccentric rich guys doing cool stuff. And I love it all in between. But I wish the guys that think they know it all, these young punks think they know it all, producers, shooters, whatever, they wouldn't give me the time of day when I've tried to call them and say, hey, do you want to come work with me or do a collab or whatever? They just got it all figured out because, you know, they've reached where they put their little pinnacle, you know, when they were filming, like you were filming and filming stuff, they set their bar that, like, as soon as I can make Chris Brackett and these other guys and these other outdoor channel guys competition, I've made it, and they're done. Now, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to listen to nobody. And then they're just going to be the guys with us taking a picture of them and their turkeys in a tree and under a dead end sign and smoking a cigar with a turkey. It's a turkey. It's a turkey. You went to Michigan and killed a turkey in like 24 hours. I could go tomorrow morning and kill every turkey on this farm back here if I hunted them till noon or 1 o'clock. It's a turkey. Smoking the cigar. Like, what are they doing with their life? Dude, it's wild to an old man like me. It's wild to watch a world that I fought tooth and nail to even film in slow motion. Like, I loved watching an arrow in slow motion. This is before 720, that you could shoot 120 frames per second, or, you know, super slow-mo like Bomar does, and why his stuff works because he's shooting with phantom cameras and all these things. This stuff is wild. And none of it makes sense to me. So I sit back and go, well, that's interesting. Or how far is that guy going to go? Or why is this brand and this guy's making all this money off this brand that's called him to represent him? Like, whoever's making the decision on the branding to hire this guy, that guy doesn't know anything. And I am watching like the Looney Tunes Gong Show go on out there in the outdoor space, where I'm like, whoever's hiring these brand people to you know, do the I don't know, the turtle box or the this or the camo vault, or these people are making all kinds of money, these influencers, but the influencers have no idea what they're doing. And they're the most asinine, completely brain dead things that they're doing. And I'm just like, would one of you at least hire one of us old people to just go like, slow the game down? Let me show you some real romantic content that means something, because sooner or later, you're going to be so far down the road that you're not going to be able to come back from it. You're just going to continue to produce brain dead, stupid stuff, and you're going to lose full capacity for any type of reality in this depth of what you're doing, or this romance. Because one day you're gonna be old. Like, I watch them. It's like, you know, John Chris talks about, it's like Instagram Christian girl is like 45 minutes setting up her, you know, her Bible with her flower, with her tea and her coffee and her necklace. Just take the picture and post on Instagram. Took 45 minutes, but she read her Bible for 10 minutes. And that was one of his biggest things, you know, biggest viral clips, right?
Yeah.
And that's where he kind of made his stick. And to create that content is hilarious. But what he's talking about is absolutely true. I see the same lenses in my eyes, see the same lenses as he's seeing Christianity on Instagram. I'm watching it going, what? And you find out, like, here's the standard right now. Influencer, professional archer, right? So they go to 6 ASA tournaments a year, whether they're paying or their bow company or their turtle box or their whoever's or their bow, you know, broadhead company or whatever. They're paying for them to go to those 6 shoots. They all go, stay at a place, Airbnb, they can go. I'm a professional shooter, and they do little videos about what they're shooting. They've never gone to anybody to get any type of training of like charismatic delivery, acting abilities at all. Like, I'm just winging it. There's some guy making a decision that goes, this guy's a great choice. I'm like, this guy's a horrible choice, but they're giving him just enough money. And then he's got a girlfriend. That girlfriend's normally an influencer. Now she's shooting a bow. She has more bows than I do. And I had my own bow companies, essentially, and all my own brands. And then she's got bows. Then it shows her shooting like, oh, shooting Tuesday with her little thing. And she's got $5,000 worth of, T-handle shit. And I'm just like, wow. And then you look at it and you're like, how many views did she get? And you're like, well, how many did she get because of archery, or how many did she get because I could see her cleavage? And it's like, I don't understand that. And then who's picking these people? Because I can show you my numbers, and my numbers blow all of them away. And you're just like, no one is beating on my door. Well, I'm not 20, I guess, or they don't care about me, or they're like, oh, that's Chris Brackett. He's not into it. I'm like, I would love, pay me to educate up some of your younger people that are never going to culminate into, real true ambassadors and bring out their talents. Let me grand poobah them. Like, let me dad them. Come on. But normally it's like some guys like Christian, he's wearing his cross. He's wearing his cross. She's wearing her cross. It's like, oh, we're in love and da da da. Normally, the grandfather or dad has said, hey, I know you don't want to buy a house yet or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to pay it for a $20,000, $30,000 F-250. And then like they have an apartment with a couple other guys, but they've got their truck. So worst case scenario, they can sleep in their truck. Their girlfriend normally is like hashtag influencer, like making enough money a year to do this, and then shoots at the tournaments. And the next thing you know, within a year or two, this has been like an epidemic for like 5 years. Is like every one of those girlfriends are pregnant. And then it's like, look, God's good. And like, she's pregnant and he's standing there with his bow shirt. They do the whole photo shoots and they do all the things. And it's like, it's almost an epidemic. This is not one person. This is dozens and dozens and dozens of influencers over and over and over. I see this happen. And then they get married. And then it's like, bow life, shooting, married, happy time, whatever. And then she's so busy trying to take care of a kid at 20 years old that she has no more time to content. And her boobs don't look as good as they once did. So she's not getting the likes. But even when she puts it out and then you watch her like come back, then like they break up. All the while, the content has never changed. And the only time that these kids, when we talk about 20-year-olds, when they ever kill bucks, when they go to public land or whatever they're doing, they're only killing early season. So what's happening is they're going into this public land, they're spending all summer, whether it be drones or whatever, and they're finding and pinpointing these really big deer early. And they're beating these big deer early before most of the old guys that have regular jobs or are trying to buy land or do bigger things. We don't have the thousands of hours to put in there all summer. And so they kill early. They don't kill another thing all season. They'll kill their 1 or 2 bucks and be like, grip and grin, like their promotion or whatever. I don't know how much they're making, but the industry, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, is full of it. And I feel like it has happened so many times that it's still there. And then I'm watching the guys like Bowboy and Aerotherapy, Tyler, and I'm watching, MFJJ and all these people or whatever doing their bow shop things and their archery shops and what, like that stuff's cool. But next thing you know, they're the only celebrity. So they're paying them to go to Bow Fest or paying them to go to Illinois Deer Classic or paying them to go here or whatever. And it's like, they've never been trained in how to be famous either. Just like Don Higgins. Don Higgins' deal is he's 60 something years old. He wanted fame enough to sell his seed, make his money, and do his $10,000 consults and have this little smirky grin and his protege and, Fuzzy Terry and all of this stuff, right? But no one ever sent him to famous camp and said, yo, dude, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people follow you. You need to remember what you say and say what you mean, because there's going to be people like Chris Brackett and other people and Royce or David or Gavin or whoever going to remember what you say. And then later on, you're going to change that theory. When Don first came out, he wanted to talk about how to plant switchgrass. He was all about stratifying and early. And while I had my time out, I planted switchgrass every way you could from him, called him on the phone. And now I plant it first week of June after I've killed for 3 months, 2 months. and then put it straight into warm dirt with a pre-emerge, and there's no competition and it grows like crazy. But you don't need the stratification. You don't need all that. And now he's changed his way to go, this is the best way, 100%. But you can't, it's like there's so many things that these guys say that they don't remember what they said. Like they don't stick to the thing they do. They're not a rock that you're going to break people are going to break themselves against or hold on to in a storm. And these are all the things I see on a daily that I go like, where is my freedom from this? Why does it affect me so much? And then I wrestle with it. I pray about it. I try to find humor in it. And when the Lord validates me in his way that I sell a big farm, or I'm called for a certain specific job, or I find these things that are 100% him, me moving in my job with this higher pay level, like real estate. I then takes the pressure off me to laugh at going like on the consultation trail. And it's like, all right, Don, I don't enjoy consults as much as I thought I would, because I run into really big hiccups. And I just went on one the other day, but, and this one was like half a day, $2,500. Can you be here? Do this. These are the questions I need. And you're my guy. I'm like, yep, I'm there. And so that's out there, by the way. If you guys want a half a day or like $2,500, we'll just rip through it. Nothing but the truth. Go through the 150-acre farm or whatever, carve it out, have a great afternoon. And it's a lot of times that's all people need. They just want direction. They want to know the truth, and then we're out. We don't have to do like this week. I get to do a consult from last year that we postponed. I go down Wednesday night, or I'm actually coming up by you guys. I'm going up like Ottawa, going there. I'll spend the whole afternoon on the farm, walking it, do my thing. Spend the night at the guy's. He's got a really nice place for me to stay. Get up the next morning. I've had time to let it soak in, go through my head, wash through it, get my plans together. And then I get to communicate all that the next day. And then my job's done. And then that's like a full price one. It's like a $5,500 or $7,500 one, depending on how big the farm is. And so like those are real. You can get those at golandlife.com if you're looking to find out more about that. I just find it wild that everything I just said there is a word vomit, but those are the thoughts I have daily. And all they come back to is, am I validated for the things that I have put out effort to and I want to do? And all of these bonehead boners that I watch on, Instagram and Facebook and whatever, half of them, I grew up with them. They were either under me, above me, or the same. We don't, I respect a lot of them, but like, give me my validation. Give me my respect. It goes both ways. Just, that's it. Do people know that I bought a camera and built, which we could probably do a whole podcast on, but like my story is like, I don't know if people understand that I produced everything. I owned everything I ever done. Never had a partner, never had a money guy, build it from nothing, all the way to the top of the mountain, lose everything, build it all back, still no partner. And it's like, that deserves a little bit of respect, but I probably don't deserve anything in the eyes of the Lord, but I want to help. But I feel like there's a level of respect that's not deserved, but you should probably feel validated, because as long as you're not talking about the gospel or giving your life to Christ, it's just information. You can give away free information, but you better be willing to not get anything back. And me, I'm kind of like a little old school. It's like, yo, dude, give me my street cred. Jared hunting the stand that he hunted this year was the first stand I walked on the property and said, you need to get in this tree and you never leave it. You got to use your 30-year-old butt to get down through the backside of this and go out the hard way. Don't take an easy day, but you're hunting here for 4 days. You're going to kill this deer. And then he goes like, well, I picked your way. First one I called is like, dude, I owe you this deer. I'm like, no, you did the work. I just helped you do it. But then you get back on the pod and it's not about how your best buddy, one of your best buddies, Chris Brackett, helped you. It's like political guy. And so I'm like, okay, fine. Don't ask me next year, dude. You ain't going to give me love on the pod so I get to make some money and validation and respect and whatever. I'm trying to climb back up the mountain to get my respect because everybody blasted me off of it when they're like, "Oh, he's a poacher." Blah, blah, blah. Help me get back, But there's a lot of diplomatic hosts or content producers that want to be everybody's friend. Nah, tell it how it is, dude. I straight up told you to get in that tree and be there and do not leave here and do this, and you'll kill him. You got to do the work. It's all you. I'm just telling you how to do it. And once you do it, you'll never lose it. And it happened. That story was never told. Just like a lot of stories every day aren't told like that. And so I get a chip on my shoulder because they're real. And I'm getting to a point now where I'm older where I'm like, okay, I'll remember that. No big deal. Favors start disappearing. Stress starts disappearing. It's just like, nah, you show me where we're at. We're friends. We're good. So does that make sense? That was a lot. That was like 20 minutes of me vomiting.
That's fine.
All my thoughts that are in my head. But that's why I wanted to do this. Those are real.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in.
At least you're not asleep. At least you're on the edge of your seat a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. You want credited. Is that a good way to put it? Or
you just want the respect of it. You just want to be validated that you didn't waste your life.
Yeah.
For an industry and for a way of life. There's no Bible for deer, no Bible for filming, or no Bible for podcasts or content creation. You don't have it. It doesn't exist. So, I think the world is too fast. I think the world's too fast. They don't give any time to anything, these guys don't give themselves any time. Like I got you'll have to get your phone out here because we're going to do some questions here in a second. But you think of something to say, but I am going to look right now on my phone because I wrote down some gripes, some topics. But while we do it, White Gold Seed is my favorite seed company on the planet. Why? Because I can go down to Kelly Seed, downtown Peoria, and buy great fresh seed. I just seen my notes here about our 10% coupon. And so White Gold Seed online, you just go to the website. You can pick anything you want. October Magic's going to be a good one to be planting in the next 30 days. It's got peas and sorghum and all these goodies. It's a soil builder at the same time. It gives summertime food something out that you just dream of. If I was going to kill a big deer, I'd have July planted soybeans, I'd have October Magic, and I'd have alfalfa with some type of water source right there. And if you've got a big deer pinned, this is your combination to kill them, period. So if you're going to order from White Gold, we were just talking about Clover Rush, the Clover Rush plot that we just put in, hit it with the disc, threw it down, cold packed it in with the Packer Max. Oh, Packer Max. You could buy a Packer Max right now, which is like a cold packer, CB50 for $50 off. And that's a pull behind ATV cold packer for your food plot. So you guys go to Packer Max, put in CB50. That's your code to get $50 off, dude. And they're baller. I can pick it up, throw it in the back of the truck. If we load it with water, we got to push it on the trailer. And then you just undo the water while in the field, pick it up, throw it in the back of the truck. You're on to the next one. But it gives great seed to soil contact. And that's CB50 at Packer Max. It's a cold packer. But no, I was going through some things this week and I went, this week's topic of podcast subjects. First off, I posted a video of me shooting at a moose at 6 yards. You guys see this video clip, right? How's your girlfriend call moose? I was teaching Aston's girlfriend how to call moose, and she was pretty wound up, and she made the moose not sound like a moose. But she says that's how they work. So first off, I was posting a video of me shooting a moose at 6 yards, and he walked in from 100+ yards away, and as he gets closer, I continue to range find him because he's facing me, and then at a certain point, I quit range finding, put it away, and so I could tell how close he was, and I knew he had closed a certain distance, and then I was top 2 pins. But dude, the world, I got this wrote down. The world had to tell me how big of a douchebag I was because I had to keep range finding him and then ended up shooting him at 10 yards. But the world was so jealous that it had to tell me over and over and over and over how big of a douchebag I was because I had to range find the moose. I found this to be the biggest complaint, one of the biggest complaints of my week, that I thought, here, I'm going to share this moose content. And like my dream moose, we go to Alberta with Ryan Harder, and I'm like, and Ryan's in the back calling in this moose. And that is a distressed female moose that is sick of a bull that she doesn't want to breed with being around her, which attracts the bigger bull from hundreds, sometimes a mile if you're up in Yukon, and making that call. And it's, and she's whining, and the big bull comes. And so off in the distance, you hear half a mile away. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's a moose. And he's coming. It sounds the grunty, visceral sound. And he's coming through the brush. And all of a sudden, he's snapping pines and cedars with his antlers. And he all of a sudden shows up at like 100 yards. And I'm like, this cannot be real. And this is just a big Alberta moose, but not like a Yukon. But for what it is, it's a dream come true. Like a 40-inch bull or whatever. And he's thrashing a tree. And I'm like, this is going to happen. And I mean, I'm a professional killer at this point. I am off to the side of this birch tree in this little batch of 4 birch trees. And I know that Ryan Harder is the best guide that I've ever been on any hunt in my entire life. And he is going to pull this moose past me. And so Danny's behind me with the camera, and this bull is coming across this like pipeline, and he's 100, and I'm ranging him, and everybody's calling me a douchebag online, but it's like, oh yeah, you really had to range find him? I'm like, he's a moose, dude. He's 1,000 pounds coming at me. I've never seen a moose before, dumbass. Like, I've never seen a moose before. I don't know how big a moose is, at what distance. I don't shoot at moose targets. I shoot at 200-pound whitetail targets. The moose is coming. I keep range finding. It's like 80, 70. Okay, I've got pins for that. 60, I got a pin for that. If he stops right now, I can shoot him. 40. And when he dropped, boom, the last time I hit him was 30. Well, it looks like the moose is up my nose in the video, but he hits 30 yards and I put my rangefinder away. If people only knew that rangefinder is such a lifeblood for me as a confidence tool, to know that he's 31.2 yards away, that I'm going to make that shot 100 out of 100 shots. Now, if the deer moves, I might shoot him in the guts or whatever, but it's a confidence thing. This is how I practice. So why would I not do that in the heat of the moment? But anybody that would complain about that, they just want you to die. Those people that complained about me on that video are so jealous of a guy range finding the moose that I was actually in that scenario, that their life's miserable. But I put this video out, and you just think to yourself, what is wrong with these people? So I range him at 30 yards. He comes from 30 to like 6. I draw back, I zip him, it blows through him so fast with at the time I was shooting like a rock solid broadhead that Elite used to make or whatever, outdoor group. Blew through him so fast. And he didn't even know what happened. Immediately after that, Ryan Harder the bull's like slowing down, stopping, because he's still in breed mode and fight mode. And the bull stops at 40 yards, and I grab another arrow, and you always shoot him until they stop moving. And I zip another one through. Hits the opposite shoulder. Bull takes off again. He stops him again. I grab a third arrow, and I'm able to why not shoot a moose 3 times? It's a moose. I'm an Illinois boy. I just paid $7,500 to hunt this moose, and it's the first moose I've ever seen this close. Why not shoot him 3 times? And I let another one go. This time he's at 60. Funk, double lung him again. And he's got arrows on both sides and one hole completely through him. And the 2 arrows are sticking out because they're buried in opposite shoulder blades. And Ryan from the other side goes, and he's still calling. And everybody on the video thinks that the moose is crying, but it's really just the cow to slow it down. So I explain all of this. So the only thing they could call me a douchebag was that I used my rangefinder. And the bull starts wobbling and blood shooting out of him. And Ryan's like, stop shooting him, because I'm having a blast. Normally he'd be like, keep shooting until he's down, but he's watching the blood fly out of this giant animal. And then he goes down right there. But the wild part about the video on Facebook is that everybody was so mad that I range find that deer. So I'm sorry, apologize to everybody that I range find the giant ungulate moose from Alberta so many times, and I ruined all their days. I'm such a douchebag. I'm sorry for being a douchebag. What do you think about that, Gavin?
So I don't know how to comment on the people. I don't know what drives people to do that.
They're wild.
But just the story alone is so fascinating to me.
It was my dream, and I'm a douchebag. Should have never ranged him. As soon as I seen him, went, oh, I'm just that good that he's going to come right here in my lap, and I'm going to shoot him. But it goes along with my other pet peeve of the week. Number 2 thing, I was telling my wife about this. Okay? I'm just going to read it as it is, and then I'm going to tell it. So this is where I wrote down. The number 2 thing over Easter and Good Friday and Easter, companies all over the place made ads with their social media that he is risen and all this super duper faith stuff. I couldn't have just gave the Lord his glory that they had to put it with their product ad with it. How do you feel about it? And let's discuss. So I'm going to put this in my own words now. But it was one of the things that venting about things is like, I was flipping through Instagram, flipping through Facebook. I'm on it every day. And I am a devout follower of Christ in my life daily, all day, thinking about him, how I want my life to look when he is looking at me. And I get to Good Friday, which is when they killed him, my Lord, my Savior, dragged him through the streets, and the Jews killed my man, right? And he is, and you're talking about Good Friday. So then all of this stuff on social or whatever would have, like, one of them I saw was Lone Wolf Tree Strands, like, he is risen. It's like, can you not just do the he is risen part with a cool picture? You guys got some of the greatest pictures. Andre, you got some of the greatest pictures ever. Just put the picture in there and he is risen, like, make it about my Savior. There was a Good Friday one. A million companies out there was like, my company was in there, and then it's like, Good Friday, and it's like, yeah, dude, it's a pretty powerful weekend here. Let's leave the ads out of it. It just goes back to what I was talking about the industry. It's like, yo, who's running this stuff? Who's making these marketing decisions? Because they're very poor. I'm not gonna like, no, I'm not gonna buy that product. But it wasn't one, it was all of them. And it's like, yo, you got 364 days. My Lord deserves the one. Or don't post anything. You didn't hear me talk about it. I'd rather just pray about it. I'd rather just live it. I'd rather just remember him. I just remember what he did for me. But don't make me have an ad that's like, Coca-Cola, he is risen. Like, shut up. Like, period, right? So, like, what do you think about that? Drove me nuts. Wrecked my weekend just because I'm like, how can you do we have to go have a talk? Who do I talk to? Tell me who we talk to. I'll have a talk with you. I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about the sacrifice that my God came down as a man. This is real. This stuff happened. Who's running this? Who do we got to talk to here? So that was I was just like, man, our world's messed up. Who do I talk to? How do I, like, next year, do I be like, okay, listen, Easter's coming up. Do not make this about an ad of your company. Like, do I need to be like Skip Sly and go after these companies to go, hey, I have to regulate you because clearly you're not regulating yourself. I mean, that's what I feel like we're having to babysit anymore, an industry full of imbeciles that are using faith as an advertisement.
But yeah, that's the way it seems like it's about the easiest way you could go about it to just try and capture that audience or to kind of
it's like, hey, we're Christian. Yeah. You're like, if you really knew what you were talking about, you would not do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems
like fired up.
Seems disingenuous to me.
Yeah, it seems cultural.
Yeah.
It seems like, well, everybody's doing it. Let's just make it about ads. And it's like, no, please don't. I'll promise you. It's just like we were talking about earlier with the guy and the girl with the cross and the Instagram things of like, I love Jesus. You're like, great, but we're living together, just having kids out of wedlock, and then maybe we'll work it out after. But hey, look at our bow we shoot for this company. And, it's just like, we're backwards. I never thought I would be the guy. I never thought I would be, the guy that his dad taught to revere beautiful women and be addicted to sexual sin. Never thought I'd be the one sitting here, but I'm coming from a place, like we started this off with, I'm coming from a place that I've been there. And I'm going, no, not on my watch. Let me help you. Reach out. I'll teach you free. Come on. Let's work. Let's work this out. This is dumb. Help me help you. But you can do better. I got this. I got one of my best friends ever, Luke, and his little daughter. The little daughter's got a puppy, little cute girl. You got a picture of a little cute girl and a little cute puppy. And the little dog, doesn't do the trick. Doesn't roll over or go potty outside or doesn't get back in or do what this little cute little girl says. And she just waves her little finger and points it at the dog and says, you can do better. You can do better. And I think of that all the time. You can do better, Lone Wolf. Don't put that in there. He is risen. Lone Wolf tree stands. Like, come on. And listen, Andre DeQuistal, Cody, these other guys, I completely know it's an oversight. Never thought about it. Andre's going to be like, meh, you got a point. I've known him for 30 years, dude. One of the killingest dudes ever. Older now. Humbler guy now. Haven't talked to him in years. But no way would ever be offended by this because that's not Andre, right? But just went, yeah, I see where you come from. Good looking out, bro. Yeah, probably won't do that next year. I don't know who's running it. I never even looked at Instagram. I'll bet you that's Andre. Never even looked at it. I'm not approving ads anymore. It's probably whoever. Somebody in a position went, this is a great time to advertise. You got to put something out. And you're like, you can do better. Is that what on any of y'all's radar? Because this is the stuff that freaks me out all the time.
I've never looked at it that way, but it's a really good point.
Because I think it's more common like that.
Okay, because
like you're on your way up, and in your 20s, you're climbing so hard and digging. I don't think you have the mindset. Not an insult. I know how bad I was at my 20s, not following the Lord and having that true depth of my mortality at 48. I had a heart attack tomorrow, dude. Get struck by lightning, whatever. Like me and Drake almost got hit head on the other day on 150. I'm so close to him because I know I'm on the back nine. I'm a lot more aware at 48 than I would have been 22. Make sense?
Yeah.
So those are my two pet peeves. I've got a couple really good questions in here, but I'd love for you to talk. What do you guys think so far? Everything good? Okay, Beast broadheads. Ballerist broadhead. I got them right here behind me. I might as well grab this sucker for you guys watching. This one right here is, which one's all nasty bloody? This right here is the Beast. This one right here is just your regular Beast. These things are so sharp. This went through a doe on the last day of the season, and it's still super sharp. I mean, she didn't go 30 yards. This is the Beast 2.0 regular. I like the 2.0 and the 2.3. Gavin, have you shot the Beast yet?
Not yet.
Have you seen how sharp they are? So
people ask
me about the Beast compared to the Rage. They knew I was a Rage guy forever. I've been a mechanical guy since the first one I ever shot was with a game tracker stiletto. I would still shoot deer with that stiletto. If I was ever to make a company, broadhead company, I'd just go get the stiletto. It's not out anymore. It used to be like an Allen Scorpion. I'd get that. I'd anodize it, make it look cool. And it's just your normal flip back broadhead, flew like a field point. Always been a mechanical. Rocket, Steelhead, Sidewinder, all the way up. Rage came out. Larry Polterbeck and me were boys. Now he's got the speed broadhead, all this stuff. Still, out of all those things I could shoot, I'm shooting 50 to 55 pounds on my bows. I'm shooting the Beast 2.0 and the regular Beast 2.3, and they are the scariest. They are the scariest mousetrap, fly open, 930 feet per second, killingest, sharpest dang broadhead I've ever seen in my life. I love them. Now, me shooting 75 and 85 pounds back in the day, and like that's another one. The whole industry. I mean, Bomar's got his 90-pound bow. I was shooting 80, 85-pound bows for years, having them specially made. My shoulders jacked because of it. And so all the guys are shooting 80-pound bows and all the stuff. And back then, I didn't mind shooting the broadheads that had to flip open or the slip cams or whatever, but less poundage with these sharp broadheads. They zip through these giant bucks so fast. And there's a difference. I know that if I would have shot some of these deer where I hit them in the shoulder blade, that these broadheads would have got in enough to get one lung and get them killed and just grind it in there. Where the Rages and the other guys that opened up backwards, it didn't matter how big they weren't getting through. And now these things are so sharp that even when I split the ribs and it goes through and the blades close and it goes through, especially at like 50 something pounds, I almost think it's deadlier because they fly back open. But when they go through, the cuts are so precise. You know, when you cut your finger or something with a really sharp blade, you don't even feel it, and you're just profusely bleeding. That's how sharp these things are with David and Bomar and Greg Poole and them. Like they got a sharp, unbelievable broadhead. So I am a big fan. I love the decappers for turkeys. I had a great time with those. They come with their own arrow. They come with their own decappers. I shoot the biggest ones. I think they were the 4-inchers. And then you just go get an old pillow or an old like jacket or something and make a mark on it and shoot it. I actually took off my regular sight and I went and got like a cheapie out of my garage and I put one pin, 1 to 20 yards. Just put my decoy under 20 yards. They're going to come to a red-headed turkey decoy. And I'm going to use that one pin and put it on that spot. I'm going to sight it in with that really stiff flu arrow, and it's going to fly great. Now, the only thing I got to say is for you bigger guys with a longer draw length, you know, I'm 29 and a half or whatever. My sight hangs out so far that I had to put the one pin sight closer to my riser so that when I drew all the way back, it didn't hit my sight and come unknocked. So that's my only precaution. Just be conscious of it, you know, for the long draw guys. But what a fun time. Get a blind, put up a red-headed Jake or Tom decoy, get it into that 15, 12-yard stuff that you love, and let that bird come in and chop his head off. It's nothing more humane and cooler than that. So, yeah, shout out to Beast for sure. Low down viewfinders, like I use a low down viewfinder with like a SD card reader, but I put a really high dollar card or like a high dollar but high capacity card in there as like my holding card, and then I'll have it in my Polaris and I'll be running around, and as I come up on a camera that I may have forgot, I'll just grab that out of my cellular card, put that in there, hit download. It'll download to the master card. I can reformat, put it in there, and reformatting cards is the number one thing, whether it's cellular or anything else. And the lowdown viewer at lowdownviewer.com, the guys are out of Wisconsin. Al, it's awesome. Those kind of shout out to the guys that helped me. And then we've got weirdo over here, Cantrell Taxidermy, like great dudes. Mike, Ashley, and then Mike's uncle, they do all my taxidermy stuff. I got Royce to do it forever. He does such a great job, but he's one of my best friends. He's a farmer. You don't take a lot of mounts. And so when Mike's like, hey, I'd love to do your work, I'm like, if I can help out an Illinois guy that can take a deer to him and get it done and get, skull mounts and all of that and have a nice drop-off place just outside of Springfield, look up Mike Cantrell Taxidermy. Yeah, that's kind of that. You got any questions for me? We got a really good one, and I know you guys got some.
Okay. This is one I've been curious for a while. So you've killed everything under the North American sun. Yep. What brought you to deer as like the main thing? Why deer?
Well, when I first went, back when I grew up, there wasn't very many deer. And that's in the early 80s when we would drive around and try to see deer, and you saw big bucks, but you didn't it's kind of weird. Like I didn't remember seeing big bucks. You were just happy to see deer running around. My father would go hunting with the boys down in what came to be South Fork Outfitting. I helped build that with Tad Peter because my mom was best friends with his mom, and they had pig farms down there. So my dad and them would go down and they would hunt deer, shotgun season for 3 days and come home. And I used to sit by the phone for 3 days and wait for the call to come in when he got back to the hotel if he got a deer. And every once in a while he'd get a deer. My brain, something broke in me where all I could do was play the movie that my dad was experiencing. I would picture deer walking. I'd picture my dad, what the woods look like. Something broke in my head then that I wanted to experience that as many times as I could in the planet. That's how it was. So then when I got to go the first couple times and saw deer going across a field, like it was always inevitably, you would sit there. My dad was not a good deer hunter. We would see nothing. The other guys would shoot one. We'd get up. We'd walk back to the truck at 9:30 because back when I grew up in the 80s, no clothing for children, and I was frozen to death. So walking back to the truck, you'd get up like, Dad, we got to go. I go, I'm going to freeze to death. You're walking back. There would always be inevitably 3 or 4 does running across the field. Always. They would always spook. And for some reason, they come across the cornfield and everybody be blasting at them. And you never knew if you hit them. And they were smooth bores and shooting 870s and Mossberg 500s and shooting ounce federal slugs that were accurate to about 6 yards. And you just fling lead at them. And anyways, I believe because they got away so many times and they wouldn't let me pet them and I couldn't kill them, that something broke in my head. Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory, whatever it is to it. Something broke in my head and said, I need to pet as many of these things that'll let me. And if they're not going to let me pet them, I'm going to have to kill them to pet them. And that still is the same today. If these deer will let me dang near pet them, they will let me pet them. I don't want them dead. But there is something about every one of them. And there is something like when they get older and their eyes and their mannerisms and studying them and watching them. So when they are not stressed, watching how carefree they are when they have no idea you're there. Most of the deer in this room and in the other one, out of 70 deer I got on the wall, most of them still don't know I'm alive. Still don't know they're getting chased. Don't have a clue. And that is one of the coolest feelings to know that that animal died and never even knew what happened. That I outsmarted them that bad or that good, whichever way you want to look at it. Like when he looked at me, that big giant typical right there, he snapped his head. That deer had encountered so many humans living in that neighborhood and the park and had outsmarted them every day for 9.5 years. That when I got him and I killed him and he swung that head over, the look in his eyes that was like, this dude got me. And punk, I shoot him with a crossbow, punk, and he rattled me and I don't get rattled. And he rattled me and I just shot him a little bit low because I shot him to duck. I should have ranged him one more time, but I would have been a douchebag. But he got me. And I hit him low lung, and I actually went in on him that night, and I sat with him while he died. Yeah. He was that hard of a legend. And that's happened on a couple of my big ones, Go Around and him. I've been there with them while they're taking their last breaths and stuff, and it's wild, man. It's an intimate thing. I mean, you're taking their life. There's a reverence there that unless you do it, you don't know it's there. It's something you've accepted with the Lord. You know that he has dominion. You have dominion on it. He's given it to us. He said it to Peter sitting there on the mountain. He said, arise, kill, and eat. And that's what we're doing. They don't have souls, but I don't know where the whitetail fits in. It's one of my top questions for my Lord when I get there. So how come a deer can change so many lives and also get hit by a car the next day? It ruins lives, makes lives, drives people to live. Sometimes it's the only thing they're living for. And the deer can die from EHD or get hit by a car, or the DNR can shoot them all over a corn pile in a park at night with thermals. Like it's one of the wildest theories ever about critters and humans and the chase. One of them up there. What do you think?
When you said that so many of them got away when you were first getting into it, I relate to that a lot.
I think a lot of people do.
I had shot some early on, but I thought a big buck was like 150 inch, 140 inch, once in a lifetime opportunity.
Bro, I got a 115. First deer I ever killed. First buck I ever sat up on to hunt him. And a 115 came through opening day morning at like 8:30 on a first time I ever set up a stand. I was 14 years old. I set everything up. I had these little CB walkie-talkies. I set up the whole grown adults, my dad, Matt Underwood, all these people, Steve Lofthouse, all these things. I set up the whole plan, and I had this 8-pointer come through the woods, and I shot him. And he was 115 inches. And there'll never be a deer I'm more excited about than that deer walking down through that brush and me shooting him. Ever. At 115 inches. So like I get it. Still get it. I wish that I didn't have to chase these bigger deer, but the age and the challenge, like there's deer on this table that they're not challenged. I didn't go hunt them. Unicorn buck from this year, man, I could have killed him any day I wanted. Dave Jr. on there, killed him any day I wanted. Yep. It's just like, those are giant deer, and you're just like, I can kill him any day I want. Lukoski got blasted because he was like, give me 3.5-year-old, give me 5 minutes. I'll have him dead. And you're like, I know what he's saying. I know. When you're a killer, you got it. You got them figured out. You got it. Yeah. But it's because they get away. What else you got? You got one? What's the smartest buck I ever chased, and how did I kill it? Oh, well, it would have to be one that I had a relationship with, and it was probably Penguin. And Penguin, the way I would represent smart is, he was slick. He was 77 sits before I killed him. But the slick part of what they do is they have to show you have to set everything up that you're in favor. When they show you the card, you'll capitalize. Like, they don't win. First off, they don't win. They'll get hit by a car. Somebody can poach them. They go to the neighbors. But if they'll stay alive, they don't win. But what normally happens is if they won't play on the field that you're set up to play in, they're not even playing the game with you. So I think it's a weird answer for a great question, is that you set up to play at Wrigley Field, wind blowing out, Windy City on a summer day, and you got all your players there, and he doesn't show up. You can't play the ball game without the other team. If they'll play the ball game with you, you will win. The problem is, the slick part is, when they flip the script and they will not enter the ballpark. That is the only time you can't win. If they won't play where you can hunt them, that is not your problem. But you have to be ready for when they get there. Like, take somebody like Ben Rising. If Ben Rising has a deer pinned down into a 10-acre woodlot or a ridge, Ben Rising is one of the slickest hunters to go in and kill that deer. He's going to go in and he is going to kill that deer or blow that deer out. And then he's going to reset, waiting for the deer to show back up again, and he's going to be full court press on him to kill him. I'm not like that. I am data, strategy, selection, setup. I've got 7 plans. I've got all my cards pushed to one hand in a bulletproof set. That deer, just like this year, that deer did it. And when he did it, I was able to kill him. He only had to do it once because he died. The first time he did it, he died. But if he won't play the game, right? So it's kind of a loaded question. So, like, take that big sucker right there. That one right there. Big Chungus. Big Chungus didn't show up until the last day of the season. He never played ball ever. So did that deer outsmart me? No, he just didn't play the game. I'd have to give it up to the unicorn. I have to give it up to Penguin. Beware the penguins. Doobie doobie doo. And it was an old Budweiser commercial. My dad loved penguins. And he had this little thing that he had a little beer stein. He really liked his beer. And you'd push it to open the lid, and it would go, doobie doobie doo. Beware of the penguin. So we named this deer Penguin. So that year I was chasing Penguin and Wingwin. Wingwin looked a lot like him. He became Wingman, Wingwin, and then Penguin. And I killed Wingwin early, but I actually decoyed him into Dauphinda, and I shot him, and he let me shoot him, and he didn't flinch because he was so entranced with the live decoy, the little mounted decoy Dauphinda. And I opened up his chest and hit him underneath the chest, and giant gaping hole. 6 days later, I went back in on him, and he was the 17th buck in on an all-day sit. I was on a ground blind in this little funnel, and these does were hot, and he came out at 340, and I stuck him and killed him. Killed Wingwin. He was 4, but he's an awesome deer. I got him mounted. And then Penguin showed up one morning on the camera, and he looks like a 200-inch typical. I called Spook Span, and I said, bro, what's the world record for a crossbow typical? And he's like, I don't know, dude. I think it's like 198 or 201. I'm like, I got a contender. And so Penguin was huge. I had to let him go. He's like 7 years old. Well, something happened and somebody ran an arrow in him. Between the time I got a picture and the time I was waiting on him in this little gauntlet, he didn't stand a chance. He never showed and never showed and never showed and no pictures and never showed and never showed and never showed. And I had this weird, I was sitting at my Trip's birthday, or Trip was born. Oh, what was it? Oh, that was when I killed Moose Buck. So Trip was like 3, my nephew. And I said, hey, bud, I got to go. I got a feeling that I know where is like the 8th. I think he's born on November 16th or 18th. And I go, bud, I got to go. I love you. I got to go play at your party. I'm going to go get my stuff on. I'm going to go sit in the oak tree on, over on this breaker side on this big oak I can see everywhere. Took my Bobby Hart muzzle in there. I shoot that thing about 300 yards. And out of nowhere, behind houses in a ditch, he's about the 12th deer out. He comes out from my other stand. I just walked by him. I got in this tree. He come out of this ditch, walked out to 240, dialed my scope on my Husqvarna scope that Bobby had set up, dialed it in, 240, leaned out of my stand. I'm 30 foot up in the tree. My foot's on a branch. My gun's out through a branch, and I'm holding onto my safety harness with my eye through the eye relief, and I'm off the stand. That's the only way I could rest it. And I put it on him, and he had one more step, and he had gone into the ditch. And I just went, whoa, heard it hit, and he disappeared. And I was like, well, I either killed him or not. I got down, and I walked out there, and there he is laying there. Perfect shot. He didn't go nowhere, and he's a midget. I don't know if that's the correct term. He was a small deer. He was a little person, whatever. I don't know, dwarf deer, whatever you want to call it, politically correct. But the deer is a 160-inch deer that looks like he's a 198-inch deer. He is proportioned. His neck is unbelievable. He's dark colored, perfect shot. Deer's unbelievable. He is a 1.5 feet shorter than any deer ever killed, and a 1.5 feet shorter on the legs I ever killed. He looks like he's 250. He's 150 pounds. And Penguin's dead. And I was tagged out right there. That was it. And he's running around. So Wolverine's running around. So I tagged out. I couldn't hunt Wolverine. And then fast forward, I go on timeout for 3 years. He gets to live for 3 more years. And then I kill him at 9.5. And that was probably one of the wildest deer. Was Penguin wasn't playing the game. So he was the slickest one I ever hunted. So remember that if he's not in the area, he's either dead or he's playing another game. So wait for a rainy day, wait for a windy day, and slip down in an area that you think he could be, set some cameras, or go hunt a hunt like that. But it's got to be on what I would call a muddy water day, that the water's going to muddy anyways. So you might as well be in there muddying it. Really, really, really windy or really, really, really rainy. Get in, set up, make one set. And if you go in to hang and hunt, go in, hang and hunt that day. Don't hang it, leave your bow rope and all of your scent in there, and then come back the next time. He's already dissected it in the dark. So I would hang it, get in it, hunt it, and move in on somewhere else. So most of them aren't too slick. Most of them are either nocturnal, which means you're not close enough to them, or they know you're hunting them. The other part is if they're not showing up at all and being slick, they're somewhere else. They're always somewhere else. If you're not seeing them, they're somewhere else. And sometimes if it's just infrared cameras, sometimes you just flip those cameras to the other side of the tree or move them a little bit. And these guys are smart enough at 6 and 7 and 8 that they sense the camera enough where the infrared is shooting that you just got to flip flop the camera on a rainy or a snowy or a windy day. And all of a sudden you'll get them and go, this idiot's been here the whole time. He's just been going 10 yards behind the camera. That's a lot what happens. A lot. Got another question?
I got plenty, but I know audience got some.
They do have some. Hit me with one more. I'll answer that one, and then I'm going to go to this one.
Well, I got a fun one.
Okay, fun one.
So you sent all those hard drives back with me.
Okay.
And going through them, seeing what we could turn some of that stuff into, and I found this little advertisement that I sent you the video of Chris Brackett's Kamikaze.
Yeah, Kamikaze
a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Like,
so,
what
So everybody knows I was the guy that invented shooting flying fish. I charged $1,000 a day to get on my boat for 4 guys. It was the most fun you could have with your clothes on. And we shot, I guaranteed to put 30,000 fish in the air or your money back. And so every day we would go out, I'd pick them up. We'd shoot at 30,000. We'd see 30,000 fish, and they would shoot till their arms fall off. I'd have a cooler up front that somebody sat on, 2 guys in the back, and the 2 guys in front, and I'd be playing music, shirt off, hair on fire, sunglasses on, and spiky black hair, tan, just wearing these blue and white shorts that I'm wearing in the game from pelagic swimwear and fishing stuff out in Newport Beach, California. I was like sponsored by them, and at the time Wiley X sunglasses. So the whole look you see on the game is the character I really was in real life. So people would come in every day all summer, from June 15th to August 25th, my birthday. And then I left August 25th, and I'd go hunt pronghorn and then hunt the rest of the year. That was my life for like 8 years. And we guided people until you had to have a 6-pack license to guide, and then we didn't guide anymore. And one day, I've been doing this for years, and like the CEO of Caterpillar and, Cullinan and that whole family, they would stop meetings at the top of the Caterpillar building to go, watch these guys shoot these fish. And we had done like 25 national shows. We had been on CNN. We had been on Katie Couric, and I'd saved a guy that jumped off a bridge committing suicide. I pulled him out of the water. I had the craziest stories of all time. And I did this for years. Well, one day we're sitting there and I find out about this app, and I'm pissed because there's this kamikaze carp app with these flying fish. Well, the building was right there on the water, and a company called CSE, and they do like Simformation. They do all like the Caterpillar goggle simulation stuff. And my friend Renee Gurel is the owner of it. But I just was pissed. I sent him an email like, yo, you're doing me. Like, this is my thing. And they're like, well, come in. We'd love to meet you. So I went in there, and they're like, oh, you're famous? Yeah, let's put it together. We started taking caricature pictures of me, and they made a character, and they took the sleeveless black shirts, the tattoos, and the bows, and they made the whole game. It was just a guy in the game, but they made it Chris Brackett's Kamikaze Carp. And I said, yo, dude, no, this isn't an in-app purchase game. You have to, there's enough people. There's 50,000 people download it for $2.99. It's a lot of money, right? It's not the in-app. It'll give away for free and do the in-apps. Well, they didn't listen to me. So they gave it away and then did the in-apps. Well, somehow it's not running anymore because it wasn't paying for itself. It was the first way, but they couldn't go back with Apple and them going the other way. And people had records. It was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah, that's how I had my game. Yep, Kamikaze Carp. Stand in the back of the boat. You could buy helmets. You could do all this crazy stuff. Like, you could buy all these different things, and the fish would have helmets, and they'd shoot things at you, and the levels got harder and harder. And it was baller, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was baller. Here's what we got from an anonymous. Is that how you say it? Anonymous?
Anonymous?
Anonymous.
Yeah.
Anonymous. See, I got to have you keep me straight. All right. Good evening, Chris. I don't want to post this on your post. Rather, keep it anonymous. I shot a big buck back during gun season, and I had trouble locating it. The deer was found earlier this year, a mile from where I shot it. I was finally able to take possession of it last weekend. This will be my biggest buck to date, roughly 204. Considering this deer not being found the day it was shot, but found a few months late, I have a salvage tag. Do you think this takes away from the deer? Now, I would love to find out what y'all yahoos think, because I know what I think. This is from an anonymous follower that sent it to us. We appreciate it. This is a great topic. Great way to look at this.
So I could see the fact that he's phrasing it this way feels that I feel like maybe it's not sitting right with him.
It's not sitting right with him.
Yeah.
Huh? No.
To me, it's not, because it's not the ideal way. You want to shoot it, you want to blood trail it and just find it and have that big celebration.
Goes back to my question for the Lord.
And
it's a deer. How does it sit with you?
Yeah.
Right? So go ahead.
If if I knew I killed it, it would not matter to me.
If you knew you
It
shot it in a lethal way,
yeah,
not just out of the butt, not in the
Yeah.
shoulder, but you knew you hit it in the guts or liver, and beyond your control, the deer, it's not like,
Yeah.
well, you shot it, you got down, you pushed it for miles and miles and miles, whatever. Still your lethal hit. It's not up to you.
yeah.
It's up to your neighbor. It's up to whoever finds it. Right.
To me, that's like a 204. That's world class. Like that's as good
so
as a deer
lifetime.
can possibly
Yeah,
be.
I've never killed a 204. I've never even hunted one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I'm not done Higgins. I don't have them in my backyard.
The fact that deer,
I might have a 200 in my backyard, but I haven't pinned them down. I've only had them on camera once. But
to me, the fact that deer is already that incredible. He got the opportunity at it. He already beat him in that game.
Yeah, he beat him. He got a shot.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't take away anything from the fact that you didn't get to have the joy of that like perfect clean shot, and then
it's no different than the coyotes getting it a day later.
Yeah,
and then not having that glorious moment where the coyotes have pissed on it and eaten the guts, and you just got a rack laying there. It's like, you know. So I get what you're saying. So overall, for you, it'd be like my deer.
Yeah,
my deer, my tag. And he could, well, I don't know, did he shoot 2 other deer and then this is the 3rd one, right? Or did he say he knew he shot that deer in the guts, was like, that deer's dead. This is my tag. Is it a tagging thing for him? There's a lot of little creeper things in there. Me, that's easy. I shot him. I know he died. He's my deer. If somebody allows me to get him. If that deer even, I should ask you guys first. What do you think? Quick answer, because we can't hear you.
Your deer.
Lethal shot. You knew the deer was going to die, your deer. Okay, that's what Drake says. What about you? That's where I was going to go with it. The odds of it coming back to him, clearly the guy, well, there might have been money exchange or trespass fee or something, or paying for food plots somehow or whatever. But my take on it, and this is coming from somebody that doesn't matter if they're 183, 181, 204, 120, 160. This is too many deer for anybody to give a crap about. That's where it's coming from, this guy that raises these critters and whatever. A 204 would make no difference if he's 204 or 140 to me. If I made a shot, bad or otherwise, but I made the best of my ability. Did I range him and was a douchebag because I ranged him too many times and made the shot? Right? Or what is that? Doesn't matter. If I did everything and worked up to that, and I was just in the moment. I went hunting that day. I made that decision to go hunting. That deer comes by. I've never even seen him before. And I shoot that deer. And I know that I hit that deer where he's going to die, my deer. If it makes it back to me, thank you, Lord. What a blessing. Accept the gift, accept the blessing. Because one day you're going to shoot a deer and you're not going to get it back. Like I've shot 4 booners in 1 year and never found any of the 4. And then killed 3 other booners that year. All of them my deer. I just didn't get to lay hands on 4 of them, right? So for me is congratulations, your deer. Enjoy the moment. And what it will do is, because he's killed a 204, it will make the other ones and the good shots mean that much more. Because what else has he got to prove? So there's a couple things there that's like, listen, it's a blessing. It's there. You didn't shoot him full of steroids to grow 200 incher. He's just 200 inches. It was written since Abraham was born on the mountain that this deer encounter and this was supposed to happen. There's a lesson in there. There's a lesson in even bringing it to us, even anonymously. I say it anonymous.
Anonymous.
Okay. No. To us, to talk to somebody, to give insight. That's why I look at it. Somebody brought this to us to give insight to a thought process that's bigger than the deer itself. That's what you were going with earlier. It's a great podcast because we're talking about the things that are bigger than the deer. Like Dong that's laying there on the table. The neighbor killed him. He was 145 inches. It went down. He should have never gone down. Like, you can't control the critter. You only got 2 tags. I wish I had 7 tags because if I keep buying ground, I should get 2 tags for every 100 acres, right? Or whatever I want to think that I want. But none of it matters. If that deer comes by you and you get a shot at it and you put a lethal shot on it, he's your deer. If you get it back, it's already a miracle. If it left your area and you got it back, it's already a miracle. Just be happy with the blessing. You can always buy a cape. Even when you do everything right, most of these deer have other capes on them because I had a freezer go bad that had like 12 capes in it. And a lot of my deer don't have the same capes. So even mounting them, I'm stupid. I got like too many deer mounted, and I would go back and I would say, like, I don't know if I would mount them all again, and I don't know if that's right. But there's a lot of stuff. It's about soul searching. You shooting that deer, finding that deer, probably making a connection with who found that deer, and all of that. There's some Lord God sacrifice, humbleness, working through all of that connection that has nothing to do with the deer. Just make sure you're glorifying him through all that, and then like do the best you can to make a better shot on the next one. Even if it's a liver, even if you shoot him in the liver and back out, what would you have done different? Tell that story. Talk to people. Bring it up in conversation. Iron sharpens iron. Experience, inspires people to think deeper thoughts about all of it. So hopefully it helps somebody on this podcast think about it and go, man, what a blessing. Yeah, what a blessing. So, hey, thanks for writing that in here. What else you got for me? Anybody else got one while I look up another one here from the...
How do you avoid complacency, if that is in your work, in your life?
How do I avoid complacency in work, in my life?
Hobbies, anything going on. I feel like we live in a world where it's so easy to live in life.
Fulfilled. So complacency. The direction that he's going is, how do I deal with at 48 catching every dream I ever had? Right? That's what you're asking. Yeah, what keeps me going? And not be complacent. Well, I was gifted with a different gear. I have an extra gear. I think the blessing of having an extra gear or having people around you that have that gear to show you it. So first and foremost, complacency in life would come from, for me, I think that's actually a goal to get to, that you look forward to as an older man when you get white hair and you have wisdom. But regret, I would say, would be the yin and the yang from complacency. Would be to have complacency with regret would be one of the greatest fails in the planet for a man, because you have the two. The complacency at the end is pretty awesome. To not have to go kill the turkey, walk down the drive. Dude, I woke up the other morning after I got my back injections because I couldn't sleep. 4 a.m, made coffee, put on my clothes, knew I could go to 2 farms to kill a turkey. One I had to drive to, and the other one I could walk down the driveway. So I grabbed my Benelli. I had my little cup of hunting day coffee, and I had my little decoy, and I walked down my driveway, and nothing happened. Walked another 100 yards, talking to my little owls. Nobody gobbled, no nothing. I just went down through there, and I knew where to go. Is that complacency? It is. It's peace. So this peace and complacency, I would flip it on its face, which is what I really like to do. And I would say, I'm going to look forward to it. Time. I think you should have times in that. I think learning how to be married. Not what we're supposed to do. It's what we're supposed to do, but it's not how we're wired. So finding some complacency in your marriage, dying to oneself, dying to self, husband, wife, dying to self, understanding, growing together is a time for complacency. So I'd flip the word on itself. Regret and complacency is where I would put the sin with, and would put the scary part with. And that regret would be that I didn't die tired. And what I mean, I get that from Tim Tebow having a conversation one day with somebody. And Tim Tebow said, my greatest fear in the world is to not die tired, that I could have served more, that I could have done more, right? There is something to be said for serving a Lord that you know and have an intimate relationship with at 48 after having everything that the world had. Hot chicks. I didn't care about money, but I wasn't into drugs, wasn't into alcohol. But every dream, every animal, every superstardom, flying on planes, $10,000 tables at the Hakkasan, my own scentlock suits, my face 40-foot, pictures of me at the SHOT Show, winning Golden Moose Awards, agents in LA, helping Willie Robertson and them put together Duck Dynasty, and helping Shockey produce professionals, and like all these highlights of the world They all mean nothing. Acts 20:24, to finish the race to the glory of the Lord. Right. And it's like, if you remember those parts of the world, that if you find yourself in this complacent compartment, I think how you asked it, which is where you're going, interpretation, is more of a like, somebody would be scared of complacency, scared of stale, scared of not pushing oneself. Earlier when we were talking about careers, I asked him that question, like, your job is electric. That's not what you live for. So if you do a job, that the job is to X, right? A man should get to a place where he has a partner. A woman, a wife, is more precious than rubies. A virtuous wife is more precious than rubies. So a man should first off in his 20s be making a nest and making a place that attracts a female of virtuous qualities of rubies, to have a partner, to be one with, to die to self every day, to have as much sex and make love where the Lord can bring you to a place of wanting to rip her face off, and her wanting to, that hates you and you're so annoying and hairy and loud and in the way and whatever, and can come together and have 5 minutes of having sex, making love, because you know each other so well that then you go like, yeah, I hate to love you. I love to hate you. Like, all of a sudden it's like the Lord created this, that even sex as an old married guy and being with the same woman when I was younger and sinful against that before marriage, and then putting that in a box and not opening that until we were married and didn't touch each other, paw and claw, holding hands for a year and a half while we were engaged. When we dedicate our life to the Lord, different sex. It's a different word. So this complacency I think the complacency never comes if you seek out the 4 people in your life that are what you want to be and who you want to be. Like, if you're around woodsmen and going like, I want to be a woodsman, I don't even know what that looks like, but for 40 years, I'm going to try to be a woodsman. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to do this. If I want to be a basketball player for the Bulls or whatever, I'm not black and 7 foot tall. That's probably not happening, but I could be in and around basketball. If that's what I want to do, I could be an announcer or like a water boy or whatever. But my point is, like, you have realistic goals. You have things you can control, which is find the 4 people that you want to be like and go be with them all the time. And you will be the 5th. So whether that's investment, that's real estate, that's the Lord, that's guys doing creative stuff, that's guys, like, I tried to speak it into fruition last week when we were talking about Drake and fish. Like, listen, I know Drake after a year of living in my basement and being around him every day. If I can get this dude on the shocking boat with Noah and whoever and whatever, they're going to realize that he's amazing at fish and things he's passionate about, and especially this, and he's quiet and he'll do his job or whatever. But things like this guy's going to, if he gets an opportunity to do that, he can do that for the rest of his life. No doubt. So I think complacency comes from not doing your purpose. If you are doing your purpose, and somebody said the other day, it was like, and this is one of those whitetail and God things, like where does a big buck fall into the Lord and be a savior? It's like, your savior, that I'll ask him about one day is like, am I doing my gift hunting whitetails and teaching that knowledge? Yeah. I don't think there's one gift. I think there's several gifts, and they're not like gifts like 1 Corinthians 2:12, which is like speaking in tongues and having all these gifts. I think there's lots of blessings, and I think there's lots of seasons. And I think your seasons come in different things. For one, I lit my hair on fire and got tattoos and shot butterflies in my front yard and did arrow fliction. That was a season. It was fun. And those same people are grown up now with responsibilities and girlfriends and looking for girlfriends and wives, and and wanting to be mentored and wanting a little thing, a tidbit out of this to take through his week. And I think that then the next season is fear no evil, which is like, I'm done with just shooting arrows at everything. I want to go after some big game and have the moose experiences and and have all of these bigger game things. And this is another look. And then you go down the thing and you're like, okay, well, I'd rather sit around with a bunch of guys and talk about some cool topics and put it out there. And it's like, because I was listening to a pastor preach, but he was also a musical guy, and he said, how do you feel about doing music as your gift? And he goes, well, I don't believe that this is my only gift, because what if I got in a car accident and my windpipe was broke? Couldn't ever sing again. And that went, okay, well, what did he mean by that, right? And so a lot of it is put the thought into it. But I believe that there's so much out there, even for a 48-year-old, that I'm trying to forget stuff and concentrate on the 50 things I love. I'm trying to concentrate on 5 of them to be the best. Even my work. I can make more money, serve more people, and have a better quality of life for me, if I just sell land and do a dozen consults. Was that a good enough answer? Is that too much?
No, that was good. Do you want to switch some spots real quick?
Yeah, switch some spots. Okay, I'm going to go through these, and we're going to skip through a bunch of these. Don't unplug anything. Okay. Joel Graber says, multiple pins or single pin slider. Now, this is an inside joke. Shout out to Diamond Blinds, the greatest blinds ever to be made, constructed anywhere on the planet, in my opinion. I love them. So check out Diamond Blinds. I'm only going to answer this because Joel's nuts. And he shoots a single pin slider. Actually, I think he shoots a 3-pin slider, but he's still nuts. If a big deer comes in, you need to have a bow like this one right here. I've got a 7-pin sight on there from 20, like do the math, 20 to 80, 7 pins, one big sight housing, spot hog 7-pin, and a big peep, and the perfect lining up of everything. That's what I'm going to teach you this summer. We were talking about bows earlier. 34-inch draw, wrist hook release. By the way, this is Ashton over here. Came out of the woodwork over there. If you do those and you just line up circle to circle on the housing and then manage your pins, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, stop, squeeze trigger, punk, you'll be able to shoot a multi-pin sight. And what he's talking about is everybody's gone to sliders, but that's a whole nother podcast because those people are completely insane. Let's see what we got. We've got some really cool stuff. So let's see. Steve says killing a mature buck on a small parcel, 15 to 20 acres. Well, that's just going to come down to a rule of thumb. You got 2 rules of thumb when it comes to very small acreage. Either one, the deer are there's a lot of small acreage around you, and y'all are just kind of betting it all on your spot. So you got to be there and hunt all the time. And I would be it's wild because there's 2 sides of it. If there's a lot of cover and there's not much food, then you need to be the food. If there's lots of food, you need to be the cover on a 15 or 20 acre parcel. If you get to choose the 20 to 15 acre parcel, you need to be the one where they flow out to the east to be the one where they come out, and they have to go that way because most of the fronts come from the west. So small parcel stuff, do the opposite of whatever's happening around you. And I'm a big advocate for hunting 1 of the acres out of the 25 and having 2 bulletproof perfect stands on the outside, just inside, just enough that you can get in and where they move, but leave the rest of it as a sanctuary. So that's where I would go with that. Whatever is matching the hatch around. If it's thick, be the food. If there's lots of food and parcels, be the preferred cover.
Speaking on that small piece, the main piece that I hunted the last probably season and a half, it's the only piece I had permission to when I first started hunting, and that is a 6-acre piece.
Yep.
It is 6 acres of timber, probably a half acre wide.
Ag on both sides?
Straight line, beans on the bottom, corn on top, they flip.
Yep.
On a hillside. And that same game plan you said, I have a stand set up on one end and the other, and I'll slowly kind of start working in, testing the boundaries, but I know there's not much there. It's a travel route. I don't want to, if I put pressure on that spot, I could.
A lot of it, if there's big timber and it's a thoroughfare through, sometimes you have to hunt it absolutely nonstop. But that's where you would go to golandlife.com. We'd have an online consult for $350. I can dive into it and tell you, do you hunt it all the time? Do you not? Do you stay out? Right. So that's my business. But again, match the hatch. You either have to be the food area. If all the timber's thick, they come there to eat. If not, you got to be the preferred place for the bigger deer. Or if it's a thoroughfare, like a couple fence lines and a grass field, you're going to be better off between that 16th and that 24th of October, where they do the bar crawl and they're hitting the scrapes early. Or if everybody starts pounding it at the end of October and November is feast or famine, it may just be a rut hunt spot and you just got to grind it out. So there's a lot of intricacy there, but you can do a lot. If you've got a big piece of timber and you're on the east side and you can put the food and the intricacy and all of the fun stuff like we did to Jason Young's place or whatever, it's like you can bring them deer through there. And that's I call that, if you take the pressure off and let it be a zoo, that's where the pressure comes out and they walk out. We got one from Royce Corbin here. And Royce Corbin says, what's your opinion on DNR canceling the CWD shooters program? So Royce has been hunting his own place next to where they've been sharpshooting CWD whitetails for a long time. First off, the greatest thing I ever heard was from Skip Sly explaining prions, that I have talked to my best friend that's a brain surgeon many a times about the protein prions in the brain. No matter if you get rid of the whitetails on the landscape, what Skip said is 100% true. The saliva and all of the material and the proteins from the whitetail will stay on that landscape forever. So whether you remove the deer or not, the proteins are still there. The other deer are still going to be there. You're not getting away from it. The first thing that the DNR can do is get a lot more intricate with what is actually going on. You cannot have a state that is trying to grow big bucks if the people in charge of the CWD program or the programs in general, biologists at the state of Illinois, don't hunt big bucks. They're not going to be for you to kill big bucks. All they want is that a person can see a deer and a person can eat a deer, and that they can see a deer and they can eat a deer. They like watching football or doing other things. In our case, our main biologist that's in charge of the entire state was into like anthropods, like very intelligent, into like whatever that would be, like ancient things. And like, he's not a deer guy. So that deer guy is not going to root to come out to see this and the spectacular stuff that I do to the landscape and a lot of people want to see again. They don't want that. So if we don't have the same goals, it doesn't matter. But the first thing that I've heard good in 2026 is that they got rid of the sharpshooting programs. It doesn't mean that they got rid of them completely. They got rid of them where they're casting them on the state and wanting them done and wanting to get to the bottom of CWD. You can still go as a park district or as a small area and apply to hire or to put money to kill all of them from the area. But I want to know, and this is what I asked our main guy at the Illinois DNR was, I want to be on a letter basis or a knowledge basis or contacted when somebody applies for that. I want it to ring a bunch of us that care so I can be the consumer or be the state. If it's the state's deer and we're sharing our deer, then I want to be on the committee as a consumer, as a paid tax-paying citizen, that the state can say, okay, your requests are legit, but also us patrons that live in this state that pay taxes, we vote it down. So now you're 50-50 voted down and you don't get the permit.
Well, and I feel like there's just a lack of transparency in their process.
What's the same thing it's the same thing as the He Has Risen ad. They're not smart enough. Everybody's not smart enough to handle all of this stuff. So they're doing the best they can, but it's a Tuesday and Gavin never thought of it. So if Gavin never thought of it, is it actually Gavin's fault? No, he's just not there yet. It's not been brought to his attention. So it doesn't have to be a loudmouth like me going, hey, that's fine if they want to apply. But there's 10 of us on a committee that we want to hear what they have to say. Just slow it down, due process, 30 days. Let us see all of them that come in. Every time one comes in, you guys look at it as your biologist board, and let us look at it as experts in our field of managing our farms and managing for whitetails, and is it best for all of us? And I don't think they should shoot another deer in the state of Illinois until they open up raccoons for 365, whether it is handheld dog-proof traps only, or nighttime thermal hunts, or box traps where you could let a skunk loose or a possum. But if the Farm Bureau keeps complaining about the corn going down, I would say over 90% of the corn damage is from raccoons.
Absolutely.
Not deer.
No.
And so let's educate ourselves first. But the first thing they did is shut down CWD sharpshooting, and that should stay down until they understand where the buck stops here. The billions of dollars that are coming to this state by Governor Porkchop not caring what's happening. Billions of dollars coming to this state from landowners, and you're jacking their taxes up so they can't have just a rec property. And all they want to do is shoot a big deer here in this area. And you can't even give them that, their best chance at growing that, to have their dream. Then how can you call it America if you can't have the American dream? You can't. And so, like, that's it. Like, get rid of the raccoons. Let us have dominion over them 365 days a year, and give it to us with dog-proof hand traps, box traps, and let us trap them all year round. We can have way more critters. And then number two is, like, let us have a say in how many permits and tags and everything that you're doing. You put crossbows out there, great. I don't think the crossbows are the problem, but the crossbows with the effectiveness of trail cameras are absolutely the downfall of whitetail deer on the planet Earth, where they're both allowed in a long-term season.
Yeah, that combination's what's, I think,
the death to them. They can't survive.
Yeah, that's what does it.
Yeah, they can't survive.
No.
But don't get mad at the capitalism of letting people like me work for my goals, not have kids, work for my goals, make money to buy more farms, to make more money to buy more farms, and put together my own collective, and then tell me that I have to kill things because you deemed that I need more deer. Right. So, it's wild. So yay, the DNR sharpshooters are out like a trout. All right, we got one more here. Let's see what we got. Do you guys got anything? One more? Anything new happening this week in life for anybody? My fish have been going crazy. I'm getting ready to put in sunflowers. I bought 25 pounds, $250 from Kelly Seed of Clearfield Eagle Seed, and I put them in with my Great Plains drill, and I'll be putting them in at the new farm. Let's see what everybody's got. I did a live earlier, and there's lots of questions. This guy says, a lot of people at the racetracks. Lots of people at the racetracks tonight, Chris. It's Friday night. A lot of mineral, a lot of tick issues around. Tick has been a big deal, right? Did Trump release something about the government ticks? Did RFK say something about Lyme disease was actually a government conspiracy? I heard this week.
Yeah, I heard a thing or two.
A guy that has joints completely trashed from Lyme disease, I wouldn't put it past them. They tested all the main tests, couldn't find it. Nope. My Lyme disease doctors actually passed away, but I had to go to Missouri to get a whole different battery of tests to find out that I had 2 positives for 4 Lymes, and then started me immediately on doxycycline, and which tears up my guts. But the problem is that my joints are already trashed. So I got 2 torn labrums and 1 hip. When I went in after therapy, after everything, they said they could not perform the surgery to sew them back together and reattach them because the arthritis was so bad in a 48-year-old that I beat my body up that bad, but the arthritis was caused by the Lymes, that they would have to do a full hip replacement if they wanted to fix this leg. At 48. So My aunt asked, what is the most rewarding part about developing a plan for a new landowner? Great question. The most rewarding part of developing a plan for a new landowner is watching the aha moment when they realize if I leave these deer alone and I bring the deer out to me, that I get to meet them at the Gettysburg line. I get to be one side, they get to be the other. And as long as that wind stays true, that they get to encounter more animals for longer, for many more years to come. They get a relationship like Gavin was talking about with the animal, the connection with the animal, the more critters, they learn more, they get more, and then they actually get reward from putting the stuff in the ground and growing it, and they get more pride from it. And then the deer hunting and the killing of like the 204 that you shot, but he went a mile, it wasn't about the deer in the first place. The deer is the bonus. So the greatest part is that you get to watch all these things that they didn't know they wanted. They didn't know they wanted it.
Yeah. Just watch it click.
Watch it click when they just go like, oh my gosh, I feel hope that deer will come to me. Because that was what I was going to tell you about the deer with them not letting me pet them. I dreamed and prayed for years, every night, that one day a brown fuzzy deer of any size would walk up to me within 30 yards. Just walk up to give me a shot. That wasn't that long ago. That was when I was 12, 13, 14. I used to dream of a deer, pray for one deer to walk up and not know I was there to get a shot. And now I try to get rid of them. I try to get them out of my yard. It's the wildest thing. Like, you can have everything that you ever wanted in life. You have to understand what you're asking for, and your prayers change. And then you have to understand the steps to get there, to get that in abundance. And what you were talking about with complacency, we serve a Lord that, when you understand our Lord that wants abundant life for his children, he wants you to keep experiencing and keep loving him. And he wants more antlers and more deer and more experiences and more sunrises for you when you're glorifying him through it. It's wild when that snaps. That's that aha moment. And so the complacency doesn't exist with it, because you're complacent in him. Like, you're just so peaceful in him that you're just like, it doesn't matter if I get this 125 and this 80, and if I'm ever able to put the other two together with it, I'm happy with any of it. I never thought I'd be there.
Yeah.
Never thought I would be there. Let's see. Can you explain so people talk about all the time, can you expand on your thoughts on the full moon, September through January per big bucks? Everybody wants to know the full moon theory. This is a great segue out of this bad boy for tonight after 2 hours on here. Been a great podcast, lots of insight. If you don't know about Full Metal Bracket and the Brackett Show on YouTube, and you can find it on the website, the Brackett Show, and you can find it everywhere else. Back where I talk about setting up and when to hunt full moons, and what the zombie walk is, and what the full moon, vampire walk is. The difference between all of them and expanding on the full moons is this. For a century, fishermen have known about how the lunar moon affects fishing. And that is, no fisherman will ever argue that. They also won't argue the barometer at 30.3 and higher being a high barometer, and things are excited, and people are manic, and fish are manic, and deer are manic, and things move when pressure's high. It's why your head hurts. It's why things are activated. And I don't know why, but they just do. But when it comes to the moon, if I told you that autistic people that are on the spectrum find patterning to be the main thing that drives them, then we could say, okay, that's a fact. Well, I happen to be on that spectrum. And so patterning is my gift. So patterning things, okay? What happens if a lot of it in my walk with Christ was, I used to have something happen and I was so in tune what was going on with a pattern, I could tell you what happened next. But that doesn't go along with my faith or what's in the gospel in the Bible. So I had to die to that self of thinking I was so smart to know what was going to happen next in life. So when I died to that and I was open to whatever this is, and I could chill, my life became better. Now with Whitetails, it's easy because I don't think my Lord really cares as long as I'm paying attention to the other things in my life, my wife, my money, my family, my tithing, my dedication to him, my walk, my health, and you want to hunt deer after that? Go ahead. Right. So when it comes to the full moon, I get to pick when I get to hunt. I set up a job that I get to pick when I get to hunt. And about October 1 comes, I go, I'm not working as much, and I do whatever I want, and I go hunt my backyard or wherever. And my wife goes, love it. I'm going to my mom's. Have fun, babe. And if you don't find a virtuous woman like that, that is worth more than rubies. I'll promise you that, as it's written. I will expand on the full moon, on the fact that the pattern shows me that within a couple days of 30 days, every 30-ish days, we'll be like, it's only 34, it's at 32, whatever. 30-day cycle. Once a month, we have a full moon. The full moon could be on, let's say, Friday the 13th, on a full moon on the 13th. Now, did Ed the forecast guy on WMBD or Fox 43 tell you that that's the day of the full moon at 3 o'clock on Friday the 13th? Or did you research it and dive really deep into the internet to where it tells you that 3 a.m. is full moon directly overhead? So if full moon directly overhead on Friday the 13th at 3 in the morning is the full moon, then the daylight before that, the 24 hours before that, sometime in that. So you gotta see what I'm saying here. If we're just looking to the weatherman that says full moon on the Friday the 13th, we don't know when it's directly overhead. But I'll promise you right now that when you're looking at a clock and everything hits midnight and everything's at the 12, the minute hand and the hour hand are at the 12, everything past that is past that. So look at the full moon as that. When that full moon goes past full, just slightly, it's on the downhill for me. And everything I've ever seen with mature whitetails moving, that you want an extra card, whether it's September 1, whether it's July, whether it's July, whether it's September, whether it's January, whether it's December, it doesn't matter. A mature whitetail buck that does not ever give you a clue that he's going to walk in daylight will get extra froggy for some other reason, for no other reason than he may be part vampire. It's that silly that the minute the moon is overhead on a full moon, the 2 days to 3 days before that full moon. So if it's on Friday at 3 in the morning, I'm hunting Thursday all day and I'm hunting Wednesday all day. Friday, I'll probably still hunt because maybe he might get caught slipping because he may be out late partying, but I'm going to look for that Wednesday during the middle of the day, or just anytime Wednesday or anytime Thursday. 90% of my big deer have been killed within those 2 days before that full moon. Now, what happens if that would have been a full moon on Friday the 13th at 9 p.m.? That 2 hours before dark would have fell in front of the direct overhead. So you can get minute with that. It's a lot easier to just go, the full moon is on Friday the 13th. Just make sure your butts are hunting the 11th and 12th on Wednesday and Thursday. Just make sure you're hunting. And if you can get off Friday, awesome. But I would be the days ahead. If that thing falls at 11 o'clock that night on Friday the 13th, you better hunt Friday, Thursday, and if you can, Wednesday. But it's the 2 days before. And if you said, like, expand on that, I would go, all right, the minute that the full moon gets here, you may kill him on the day, like the lingering days after the full moon. Think of it like a groggy, werewolf getting back to bed, or a groggy vampire might be caught out late sucking blood and getting back to his coffin, right? But after that full moon, everything ceases. You will watch this summer if you're watching bean fields and you got a full moon. The day of the full moon, those idiots will be out there at 1 in the afternoon at 90 degrees eating beans. The day after the full moon, they're nowhere to be found. Something messes them up and they reset for 30 days. So if you look at 10 days after Friday the 13th, so like Friday the 13th through the 23rd, those 10 days, if I was going to take my wife on a honeymoon or a vacation, I'd take it the 10 days after the full moon. Now, you throw it in the middle of the rut or whatever, you could have some weird stuff in there, some other pieces. But if you take it in a non-breeding phase cycle and put it anywhere else in the year, that 10 days after that full moon, garbage. Every time, without fail, garbage. The 10 days before the full moon, party on. Let's hunt every night. It just is the way it works. Don't know why. I will ask him when I get there one day. Probably won't care when I get there, but I'll be like, there's a lot of people down there wondering. We got to send them a sign. But I'm telling you right now, the 10 days before the full moon, fire would bet all my chips on booking a trip somewhere to hunt. Whatever day is that full moon, hunt that day of that full moon just because. But the 2 days before it, take it off right now. I don't even know where it falls, but I do know that this year it falls gangster right in the wheelhouse. I'll bet that full moon falls right there around that 16th of, let me look it up right here. Ready? Full moon for October 2026. Drum roll, please. Okay, ready? Ready? You guys want to know when to go book something to hunt? I like the 16th to the 24th, no matter what, right? That's the bar crawl. That's the go. Find out the chicks that are horny and find out the dudes that want to fight, right? Guess what? The full moon is on October 26th at 12:11 a.m. That's going to fall on the 24th and the 25th and the 26th to hunt in October. And you guys better be crazy if you think that I'm not hunting. My best spots at the end of that bar crawl, scrapes, even mornings. I would break my rules in the morning if your setup was right, because from the 26th through the 1st or 2nd, it's going to suck. So your little pre-rut, end of October, Halloween, might as well go trick-or-treating with the kids because it ain't going to be worth a dig.
I was just going to ask you how that would roll into the early rut.
So then guess what November will be? This is where it gets just gangster done.
Because then do you think that'll kick up later in November?
Full moon for November 2026. It's the full beaver moon peaking on Tuesday, November 24th. So if I'm going to plan on shooting my deer, mark it down. I'm going to kill him somewhere between the 20th and the 26th of October. Killed him on the 23rd last year. So it's going to be a repeat, but it's going to be driven by the full moon. And if I'm smart about it, I could plant July beans to get them to an area that I know they'll be. They'll still be on alfalfa, but they'll be doing a cruise. But I could kill one if I get on the right one, depending on what it is. But you could kill one between that 20th and that 26th, real easy in October. And then I would be like, baby, you want to? I would work my balls off, and I would work and hang out with my wife or whatever through Halloween. Hopefully, it's super hot end of October. And then I would hunt my November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whenever I could hunt. It'll be rut. You get lucky. It'll be whatever. They're probably, if it falls in those 10 days, man, them first couple days of November could be horrible. And then depending on what they trickle or whatever, and then what's 10 days out from the 24th, right? That's what we were just at, right? So November 24th. So your 14th through the 24th, you're going to fall right there, gun season, which is gangster, I think, which is I love late rut, 20th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. It's going to be cold right before gun season. It'll be death on them. So yeah, first year gun season is going to be awesome. So that's the way we're going out, boys and girls. We're going out on the super full beaver moon on November 24th. And yeah, that's going to be, let's see what it really is. Let's see what it falls onto with gun season. Anybody got a guess? Boy, it's going to fall right on it.
Yeah.
Yep. 22nd, 23rd. That's Sunday of gun season. Sunday of gun season, mega giants will fall. 23rd, mega giants will fall. And that Tuesday, the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are your hammer days right there for gun season. So if you're booking a hunt, if you're going somewhere hunting, make sure you sit till dark on first gun season till Sunday. And people are like, this guy is absolutely full of bull honky douchebag ranging bull moose at 10 yards. I don't care what you think, but I know that I will be very fuzzy and excited and tingly 3 days before the 26th of October and the 24th. I'll have my Bobby Hart in my hand trying to kill the biggest buck that I know where it's at, or at least protecting my ground during those last 2 days of gun season. Well, thanks guys for being here. We got episode 3, full metal bracket, big giant horns on the table here. You guys, that was a little long one, but we had a really good time, and I talked most of the time. Were you okay with me talking most of the time?
Yep. Just following it.
You guys are here just to soak it in?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to Gavin and Ashton and Draker over there, and shout out to my wife upstairs. Well, we'll hopefully get this up real soon, and we appreciate you. And make sure you go give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Whitetail Equity, and go to the Chris Brackett, the Brackett Show at YouTube, and give us a subscribe. We'd love to hit 10,000 subscribers after this episode. So peace out. Thanks.